expect you. Come on in. Welcome to the Scum Bar. Welcome to the Scum Bar Podcast Marvel Movie Marathon, where we go through the 22 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starting with Iron Man donning his first suit and ending with Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet. We're going to talk Iron Man, Captain America, Avengers Assemble, and everything in between. I'm your host, Captain Mattbrush, and with me today is the Agent Coulson himself.
Thank you.
I think that's totally something you would say.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I nailed it. Otherwise, I'm Anth0z. Hi.
So, just the audience knows, there's a script I read. I'm very Ron Burgundy-esque. I just kind of read whatever's in front of me. And just as I started reading, Anth0z started typing a bunch of stuff into my script.
It's a shared doc, so I just wanted to distract him a little bit because things are a little bit frantic, and I just wanted to be part of it.
And I persevered. Now, the reason why things are frantic are because my significant other, my fiancée, is away. Yeah, exactly. It's all her fault. She's away, and my new puppy is here at the house.
It's not away.
She's currently literally watching my hand, waiting for a treat, and she's sitting next to me.
Aww.
Okay, there you go.
Oh.
And she's just being adorable. So I'm taking care of a dog while I'm doing this, but don't get me wrong. I really want to go to the Avengers podcast here, so I'm excited, but I'm also distracted.
I have no idea what's going on, but I am excited.
Anth0z, before we go any further, I'd like to warn everybody in the audience here, the Scumbar Podcast, this episode will contain spoilers for this movie and the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. So if you're at all concerned about the fact that Thanos was Iron Man's father all along, then you shouldn't have continued listening. Also, if you enjoy the Scumbar Podcast, be sure to leave us a like, a subscriber on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. Just give us, a thumbs up or something. Just give us something that we want to see.
Give us something.
A
little something.
Let's see. What are we doing for this week? This week we are, for our Marvel movie marathon, we're going to be talking about 2012's The Avengers.
The Revengers.
The Revengers. It's starring Samuel Jackson and Colby Smulders. And it's also got Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Robert Downey Jr., and there's probably so many other people in there. That's the list that I wrote, and then I got bored, so I stopped writing.
There's also Stan Lee.
Oh gosh, yeah, I guess so. It was directed by Joss Whedon with a budget of $220 million, and it earned a box office amount of roughly $1.5 billion. So it did well.
I think that's good.
I believe that's a good profit margin for a box office debut.
But I guess, do you have to offset by the amount that you're paying to the whole cast, and you have a huge cast in this, right?
They do, but they only had $220 million to work with, so. Yeah, which honestly, we'll get into it, but I think it shows. But anyways, regardless, Anth0z, why don't you go into a brief synopsis of the movie?
Oh, right. That's not, there it is. Sign up summary is what I'm going to read. All right. Nick Fury is the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., an international peacekeeping agency. The agency is a who's who of Marvel superheroes, with Iron Man, the Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Hawkeye, and Black Widow. When global security is threatened by Loki and his cohorts, Nick Fury and his team will need all their powers to save the world from disaster which is formed by Loki and his team.
Da, da, da.
How was that?
That was well done. You've got a really good trailer voice. It's just this gravelly kind of doom is impending kind of voice.
Thanks. There is this video that I was gonna say that I used to watch, but it's not like I watched it over and over again. But I think it was in the early days of YouTube that I watched this guy a couple times, and I think he was a stand-up. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was a stand-up comedian, and his bit was that maybe he used to actually do those kind of voiceovers for movies and trailers and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But then he would put that into his skit, and so his punchline would include him doing that voice.
That was
I can't.
There was Whose Lines It Anyways. They did a thing on that as well. It was really funny.
Oh yeah, they must have. I've been thinking about that while I've been driving the other day, or these days, and I'm not really sure. Maybe I just miss it. Miss those shows.
I miss it too. I could go off but a story, but I'm gonna I'm gonna I'm gonna pinch my tangent, and I'm going to cosine into a new what's hypotenuse?
Hypotenuse.
No,
Yes.
There we go. All right, so we're going to talk about the Avengers today. I'd like to do this little segment before we break the movie down into 3 different acts. I like to do this segment where I talk about what it was like when we went and saw it in theaters. For me, I don't know about you, but when I saw this movie in theaters, I remember I was very excited. Like, again, like I said last time, with Captain America, I wasn't that excited because it was a past story. So to me, it was kind of like, who cares? I just want to see what's going on in the future. Like, I wanted to see Iron Man and everybody get together. So I was really excited about this one because I just wanted to see everyone meet each other. I was more excited about the dialogue between characters than I was for the action.
Okay.
So I remember really wanting to know what Tony Stark and Steve Rogers were going to be like on screen. And I really wanted to know what Thor was going to be like with Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. So I was so curious about all that. And this movie, I remember, shocked me a little bit because I remember the Bruce Banner and Tony Stark relationship was something I wasn't expecting. I don't know why, but I didn't even think about those two characters talking to each other. And then when you see it, you're like, oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So I just remember that feeling in the theater, and I remember I was overjoyed seeing this movie. It was beyond what I could have expected, and it really set a bar for superhero movies for me.
Nice. It's kind of difficult to remember, but I think that when I watched the movie in theaters, I must have forgotten. Either I didn't pay attention to the trailers, or I forgot that Loki was the main antagonist, and so I was really looking forward to seeing who the antagonist was, or the main antagonist, and if there would be some like really big huge villain or something. And then I saw that it was Loki, and I was like, oh really? But I mean, he still did a good job, and I enjoyed watching him in that kind of role. And what else did I think? I was probably just really excited to see everybody all in one, because I'm the kind of guy who just like loves seeing big group ups.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so for example,
Transformers.
Well, sure, yeah, that's yeah. What's another example? Okay, so Power Rangers is probably not the best example, but because like they're already a group. But I mean, when one generation of Power Rangers teams up with another generation of Power Rangers, I am so excited. Yeah. So like I watch all the clips on YouTube where like you see like 100 generations of Red Rangers just lining up to take on some baddies, and so stuff like that. I don't know. I'm like a sucker for that kind of stuff. So
I'm really into the old school horror movies, the Warner Brothers films from way back in the day. And like they would team up with characters all the time back in the day with that, or even the Godzilla franchise as well, where they would team up with different characters too. So it's not a new formula, but it's just something that we haven't seen done well in a long time, I think, in cinema. So when this happens on screen, it's like magic, you know, and you're kind of it can be a train wreck for sure. Aliens versus Predator, that was a train wreck in theaters, but you know, it also can be magical, and I think they really nailed it. When this movie came out, I think they really nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. They did a good job. I think they probably had some good foundation ahead of them. You know, if they're really doing their due diligence, like checking out the history, like through comics, and building off that. I'm sure they don't build like 100% off of that, but being inspired by that should hopefully give them some good ground to go forward with. But either way, they did a good job, whether they use that or not. Yeah. So, yeah.
Do you remember at the time Joss Whedon got a lot of praise for this movie? Everyone was very excited seeing his name on there. He's the guy behind Stardust or Firefly. Sorry, Stardust. Firefly or what was... I can't remember what the movie was called now, but it doesn't matter.
Serenity?
Serenity, thank you.
Yeah.
And Firefly was a TV show, and then... gosh, there's so much he's done, but for some reason I'm blanking on it.
Didn't he also do like Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Oh, that was it. Thank you. Yes, Buffy. Yeah. And so he's well known for being able to write characters or be able to direct characters and make a good story showing them off. So people were really excited for him on Avengers, and he didn't disappoint for people back when it came out in 2012. Everyone was very excited about how much dialogue these characters were getting, and how a big praise he was given was that each character got their moment on screen.
Oh yeah.
I remember at the time thinking that Hawkeye didn't get enough time on screen as a good character, you know. But I kind of take that back now. I do believe that he does a good job of balancing all those characters. But I must say, before we get into it, I do think we got a little bit spoiled, because the guys that worked on Winter Soldier and then eventually did the next Avenger, they did Avengers Endgame and Infinity Wars. God, they're just so good that it does make Joss Whedon look... I'm not going to say bad. He's not bad, so don't get me wrong. He's not bad. It's just, it makes it look different. It's a very different style. So I don't know if you felt that watching this movie, but it felt quite different than the Avengers we eventually know.
I think so. I'll probably think more about that as we start watching
Right.
through them. But I mean, to be fair, Joss Whedon also had a different, like he kind of had a different departure point because he's doing the first movie where they all come together, whereas
Yeah.
the Russo brothers, they already
Russo,
had that in
thank you.
place, so they could
Yeah.
do some, they can kind of work their magic in other departments.
It's true. It's true. And I know at the time the DC movies that were out were really one note. You know, they were quite bland on showing us characters. So
Yeah.
again, Joss Whedon looked like this really like bright light in the cinematic universe for Marvel, just because he was really putting his emphasis onto his characters. I mean, Loki being the bad guy is a really good example of that, just because he actually has charisma and is a real character.
Yeah.
Anyways, we could dissect it forever, but let's actually get into it. So let's go into Act 1. Kneel before me! I said kneel! Is this not simpler? Is this not your natural state? It's the unspoken truth of humanity, that you crave subjugation. The bright lure of freedom diminishes your life's joy in a mad scramble for power, for identity. You are made to be ruled. In the end, you will always kneel.
Not to men like you.
There are no men like me.
There are always men like you.
Look to your elder, people. Let him be an example.
You know, last time I was in Germany and saw a man standing above everybody else, we ended up disagreeing.
The soldier, a man out of time.
I'm not the one who's out of time.
Ew.
Very nice. Nice selection.
Got him.
Got him. Zing.
Yeah, there's lines like that I like. They're so like punny, witty.
It's also, the out of time part, but it's also very, like, I see that as being a very cliche kind of like comic line. You know what I mean?
That's a
Like,
good point.
I'm not the
it
one
really,
who's out
yeah,
of
it
time.
does jump off the screen
Yeah.
a bit. Yeah.
Like you wouldn't see that. I mean, okay, maybe you would still see that in some like not sitcoms, like action TV shows or something like that. But I feel like because of the delivery, you wouldn't, like, it just sounds different. But this one, it really feels like, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I would read in a comic. Yeah.
Yeah. So getting into the first act here, we get right into it. It jumps right into S.H.I.E.L.D.'s headquarters, which, funny enough, has a NASA banner in it. I'm not too sure why NASA and S.H.I.E.L.D. are teamed up, but they happen to be. So
NASA's very progressive.
and
That's why.
apparently, with all the Tesseract technology and stuff like that, I wonder why NASA still even needs
Yes,
to be a
that's
thing.
true.
Yeah, so we've got the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents kind of working together on this NASA project. We got Eric, who's now trying to dissect what the Tesseract is doing. It's kind of funny that he speaks about the thing like it's a living entity, you know? He's
It's
like,
behaving.
It's
Yeah.
behaving, you know? It's kind of a funny thing because I was like, isn't it just energy? Like, but going back to Captain America, when you see Red Skull talk about it, it is similar, right? It's some kind of power of the god, something that we can't really understand. Apparently, like, even just looking at it can be distressful. At least in Captain America, they mentioned
Right.
that, so.
And okay, so this is just like a sidebar, but okay, so Red Skull, he held it, but was he able to hold it for a very long time, or was it kind of just like a quick thing, like, and it hurt him?
I think he was only able to wield it for a little bit, and then it started to hurt
Okay,
him.
because then I guess maybe because it's so quick, but at the end of the movie, we see Nick Fury grab it, like, or not at the end. At some point in the movie, he grabs it with just his glove and puts it away.
Well,
but
yeah.
So I guess maybe you can hold it for like a brief moment or something. But yeah, the whole behaving thing, it's kind of weird because like I don't think we get a sense of that in later movies. So I guess it becomes less of a thing, or maybe it's something they wanted to build on, but then decided not to go that route.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a rewrite on the Tesseract, because I do believe it was supposed to be quite powerful. Like I said, even just looking at it, I think it was kind of supposed to be kind of bad. But you've got, like, you know, Colby Smulders' his character. I can't remember her name right now. Agent
Hill. Maria Hill.
Hill, thank you. Yeah, Maria Hill. You've got, like, even her looking at it too. So I don't know. It just kind of is what it is. And Hawkeye, you know, he's just a man, and he looks at
The
it.
Hawk.
So
He's up in his nest.
the Hawk. Yeah, it's an interesting kind of like reference, right? Like the Hawk, he's where he usually is, up in his nest. It's
yeah.
like, is he usually there though? I don't know.
Well, I guess okay, maybe they're just trying to pin more of a description on like who he is, because I can't remember. Maybe they didn't call him. Wait, have we seen him in anything before this? Oh, in Thor.
Yeah, we saw him in Thor.
But
yeah, and they didn't call him Hawkeye in that.
they
fact, they barely ever call him Hawkeye in this whole thing.
I think they called him Hawkeye once, and it was Black Widow, right? At the end of the movie, or like during like the giant fight in New York.
In this movie?
I think she calls him
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye.
Black eye.
But what was I gonna say?
I got a black eye.
Anyway, sorry, I don't have much more to say about that, but
yeah, I thought that was funny too. Is the Hawk?
I guess just with the whole starting off this movie. Well, okay, we actually started off in space, I think, with Loki receiving the scepter.
Oh,
from
you're right.
The other.
There's a little bit of that.
Which is
they say he will rule the world, and you will rule the galaxy or the universe. So I'm assuming he's talking to Thanos at that time. The Jatari guy is talking to Thanos at that moment, right?
He's referring to Loki just ruling the world, supposedly.
Yes.
But then.
So that's what Loki's supposed to get out of this. He's just gonna be leader of the world. I guess
so, but it's kind of weird to think that Thanos would want that based on what we know of him in the later movies. But anyway, I'll try to just kind of hone in on what we get from this movie. But so we. Other than that, then he is immediately transported to the SHIELD facility. And when I totally forgot that it started here, but I think because of this, I think it's good that they started off here as opposed to starting off with one of the other characters, because like one of the other Avengers, because the whole sequence of going from Avengers like character to character to character, like if you're not already used to who they are, then watching this would be like, whoa, like why are we shifting so much?
Yeah, it's quite jarring. One of the big critiques to Suicide Squad is that they just kept jumping to all these characters we don't know and introducing them. And yeah, that's a really good point. I bet you if you didn't know these characters already or know of the movies beforehand, it would have felt a little bit like that. Like, who's this? Who's that? I wonder if a good 80% of the audience didn't recognize the Incredible Hulk.
Nah.
That movie didn't do all that great, right?
Oh, you mean recognize that the actor was different?
Well, I mean, in general, like before they even name drop Bruce Banner, there's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of showing the character, right? So anybody who's seen the Incredible Hulk movie would have known that this is the Incredible Hulk. It's a very similar setting. But I think, I'm just wondering how much of the audience didn't know that it was the Incredible Hulk, right? And then they name drop Bruce Banner or something, and they would have been like, oh, like,
he's not just that, but there was so much talk of the other guy. Like whenever Black Widow was talking to Bruce, and actually not just that conversation, but throughout the rest of the movie, there was a lot of the other guy. Like I did something, I put a bullet in my mouth, but the other guy spit it out, and like, oh, does this?
I kind of like it a bit better. It's very Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, which is how I view the Incredible Hulk. So I like this Hulk better, the one where he has control over it, but not so much control. I don't know. When he's got more control, I find it less interesting, and I don't know why, but I like it better when it's kind of this uncontrollable rage, kind of Beauty and the Beast kind of thing. It's the age-old story. I just like that a little bit better. And the Incredible Hulk movie was like that, where he was just kind of this big ball of rage. We just saw it done in really weird ways, unfortunately, in that movie. I didn't like Bruce Banner in the Incredible Hulk movie, but I like the Bruce Banner in the Avengers. They do him very well.
And, it's hard to say how the chemistry would be, but Mark Ruffalo's chemistry, I think, with this cast, I think, like, it works. Like, there's no issues there, well. Right? So I think that helps.
It's hard to know what it would have been like if we had Edward Norton. Yeah, it's hard to know what it would have been like with him, but it doesn't really matter. You're right. Mark Ruffalo is good as Bruce Banner, and I like that.
Yeah, he did a good job. But yeah, I just wanted to say that because we not just that it's less jarring because we started off with being at the SHIELD facility, but I kind of like that we did because it puts a little bit more emphasis on the importance of SHIELD. And
that's true.
Like Nick Fury obviously plays like a big role throughout like the remaining movies because he's one that tries to keep things together and in a way like he's promoting for the Avengers to keep going, whereas like we have the rest of, I can't remember who's above him or not above him, but like you know later on we see that
council, have a board of directors,
the board of directors, and they kind of make overriding calls. But you know, if that were the case, then that means the Avengers wouldn't operate the way that we want to see them. So I think having Nick Fury there as being that person to make sure that things always move forward in that sense, I think it's like that's good, and that is a factor of what SHIELD is supposed to be doing. So I like that we start off with SHIELD like having a lot of like opening scene time, and then they're also involved throughout a lot of it, right? Like the Avengers, like they could get their own resources for like getting information or like strategizing, like all that kind of stuff, right? Because like Tony Stark has just got whatever he needs at his disposal. But at least this way, like Shield is already some sort of like laid foundation for the Avengers to kind of like strive towards becoming, rather than like a bunch of like loosely put together characters that have never worked together. There's some sort of like influence from an actual structure, as opposed to them just being like, oh hey, let's put our powers together and take on the villains. Like, no, there's Shield who's already doing this, so let's jump on what they're doing and like use our like just be more effective that way. So
right.
Anyway, yeah, just a little bit of a tidbit there for my opinion on starting off with Shield to open the movie.
I think you're right. I mean, they are a big character, and we get to see quite a bit of Shield in Captain America too. So we're really introduced into that world, but way further back. So the next logical question is then, like, where are they now? How are they operating in modern day? So it is nice to see that. I am more excited about seeing the actual like heroes, the Avengers, but it is obviously nice to see Shield there. It was interesting watching when Loki starts, just straight up murdering people in the Shield headquarters there with his staff. And then choosing who was pure of heart. What does that even mean? He's like, you're pure of heart or whatever. And like,
I think he just says you have heart or something.
Or you have heart. Oh, okay. I thought he said you're pure of heart. And I was like, what? You're a bad guy. Like, why are you going to be pure of heart? Like,
I guess funny. Like maybe just he wanted to. It's kind of weird for him to just like even say that, because like we already see that Hawkeye is so much different from the rest of everybody that Loki takes down, so he doesn't really need to justify. But then
he also takes a few bodyguards with him from Shield too. Like he just took a few other Shield mercenaries. So I was like, oh, they also have heart. Like,
yeah. Why didn't you tell them? Why don't we know about this?
When we get that chase scene a little bit later on, when they get into the Jeeps and they're all kind of chasing each other through the tunnels, and it's pretty action heavy. And like you said, it's nice to see Shield operating in an action sense, because this is back before the Shield TV show and all that. I was telling my fiance, I was like, this would be like a good ride in Disneyland. It reminded me of the Indiana Jones ride, and I was like, this actually would have been a lot of fun to be in like a Jeep kind of vehicle that you're driving around and have to like, go through all this rubble that's crumbling around you and stuff. Yeah.
You know what else would be a good ride?
What?
Later on in the fight in the middle of New York, being on one of those like Chitauri, like mind.
They would probably integrate it all into one, wouldn't they? They'd do like Avengers the ride, and it would like do the whole thing probably.
Yeah.
I could see it. Yeah. When Shield is crumbling and going under, this is not meant to be a morbid joke. I was trying to like bring it into reality, but it was crumbling, and then they were mentioning like, Maria Hill. She's like, I don't know how many are buried, how many people are still alive, how many people survived, kind of thing. And then I was like, whoa! I was like, this is like the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of 9/11. I was like, because there's like this major like government facility that crumbled and broke. Now they're like gonna have to get all these like paramedics and people to get in there to fix it all. I was like, and this is now the call to war immediately afterwards. I was like, now like Nick Fury's like, this is war. Like we're gonna have to go into war. And I was like, geez, I was like, this is really like reminiscent of something that actually happened to us not that long ago, right? So I was like, oh, it's quite interesting. But it is what it is. I don't actually know if 9/11 exists in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I don't know if there was Twin Towers in New York, but there was at least a Shield headquarters that got totally wiped out. Right. Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah. Well, okay, if this, 9/11 was 2001, right? Yeah. So, I would imagine that, based on when this takes place, there was probably no semblance of, not that it never existed, but I think it's not something that needs to be.
Mentioned
that
or
attention
talked
needs
about.
to be like brought to. So
no, I think they do mention it in like Jessica Jones or something in the Netflix stuff. So I guess it is canon.
Oh, do they?
I think so. Yeah, it's like a brief thing, but yeah. Even more 9/11-esque. Obviously, later on in the movie when we get to like an actual downtown brawl, that is something that leaves a scar on New York for a long time there. So that is quite interesting. In fact, all the Netflix TV shows are all pretty much based on that one moment that happens in this movie. So. Okay, so after all the Shield stuff, we get the nice title that jumps out at you out of nowhere, The Avengers. And we get the theme song, which is sped up a little bit.
Oh yeah. With a little bit of a, is this the one with like some drums in it? It's not just like
it's quite upbeat compared to the other ones. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's very heroic sounding.
Why can't I want to hear it. I'm going to listen to it right now, so that while we're talking, it's looping in my head.
Ba, 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 bum, bum. This is one that's
it's
got
like
that,
a really quick one, isn't it?
yeah, it's very fast compared to the other ones. Like, everyone knows the Infinity War is like nice and like big and like bombastic and broad sounding, but no, this one's very like staccato almost.
Mm-hmm.
Da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
super upbeat.
yeah.
And then I guess then later on, as the movies age, the song is the main theme ages too and it slows down.
Yeah.
It becomes
they
more
just grab
grand.
it, they stretch it. They just stretch the theme song out more and more, and then it gets even better and better as they do that.
That's how you draw like suspension. You stretch things out.
Yeah. And they do it well. I really like that theme. It's very good.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I really like. Remember I was telling you I really like the for the last, was it the last ship? Oh, the Rise of Skywalker.
Oh yeah.
That the trailer for that, they stretched out the theme for that one as well.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
It's getting really popular though. Like Jurassic Park, the trailer is like dee dee dee. They like fade to black, fade back in, dee dee dee, fade to black. You remember from 1980s.
That's right.
Dee dee dee. Like, they
so
just
true,
do that to
though.
you for so long, and you're like, nostalgia.
Yeah, it just makes it so much more dramatic too,
Yeah.
right? So it's nice.
They did the same with Ghostbusters too. There's like I can't remember the exact. Actually, it wasn't the theme though. It was in the one. I think it's the new Ghostbusters one that hasn't come out yet. It's gonna have Paul Rudd and stuff in it. I think it's the sound of the siren to the ambulance. The
Oh,
they did that like in the trailer, so it like fade to black, and then you hear and then fade back in from black. But it's like that nostalgic note to really bring you back. But that's what all these theme songs are doing, and it works, and it's very good, and I like it. Star Wars is one of the best at it, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Star Wars did a good job. Not the composers, but Star Wars did a good job of stretching their music.
So moving on along, we are introduced, like you said earlier, we're introduced to a lot of heroes. We went over the Incredible Hulk. Black Widow we're introduced to. I love the scene where she's being interrogated here.
She's really nice quote unquote being interrogated.
Well,
she's the one doing the interrogating.
Yeah, I honestly believed it. I don't know why, but I remember the first time watching this, I believed that she was being interrogated, and then halfway through you realize that like, oh no, she's fine. And she actually does this to us twice in this movie. She pretends to be interrogated and then resolves the conflict by just her acting. So she's very good at what she does, and it gets me excited to watch the Black Widow movie.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Scarlett Johansson, I think she plays the character well. I don't know if it's the writing or like I don't know whose choice it is, but sometimes she has this like it's a fake scared face, but you know she's pretending to like quiver and be all like caught off guard, like, oh no, you caught me, like I'm so sad and I'm so scared about like all this information you know about me. But to me it seems a little bit too fake. The rest of everything else like is totally fine, and I think because maybe there's just like the switch between like how confident she is versus how like non-confident she's trying to seem,
right? So
that she can keep gaining more information. But I don't know, it's a little bit too much for me. It happens, so it happens here, and then it happens later when she's talking to Loki. In the end, she finds out what she wants, so like it's fine. It's like there's just really small moments that don't matter that much, but I guess I don't know. There were some choices there that made it seem that way, and I guess that's okay.
Yeah. I guess if you remember Iron Man 2 quite well, then you already know she's probably egging the guy on. But I don't know. I fell for it the first time watching it. I'll always remember that I fell for that scene. So.
Yeah.
And the fight choreography is really cool in that one too. I love that one move where she like falls onto her back and use her hands like spring her up and then hit the guy again. That's really cool.
To do the kip up.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought. So this for me, it kind of it sort of set a tone for me. Even though we had that big opening with Shield, this kind of set like I kept this different tone with me from this point on, because this scene seems so much more comical than I would have expected.
Oh yeah,
because it's like kind of that cliche. It's like, okay, gets a call in the middle of like an interrogation with these guys are pointing guns at her. Obviously, it's like super not realistic.
Yeah.
And then like, these idiots are giving me like all their information, and it's like, what? Like, and he's like, I gave no information. And so like, it's super comical like that. Yeah. That's not how this kind of situation, like those conversations, I imagine would take place if they were to really happen.
It's true.
So, yeah, because of that kind of tone, like for me, the rest of the movie kind of didn't really revolve around that, but it had a lot more elements where I took the rest of the movie, like a lot of dialogue and things, that kind of less serious, which is probably okay. Like I don't think it's meant to be a completely serious movie.
Right.
I think it probably stands as like it does a good job being a movie about, mythical beings, and mythical in a sense that, like they're just not real, right? Like you don't have somebody that flies a suit. You don't have somebody that has gamma rays injected into him, but they exist in our modern time, and they're working together to like fight a bad guy, right? So
I think the movie makes us take it seriously to a point, but not too much, like a comic book would. Like obviously, like you say, all these things are a little bit larger than life anyways, so it gets you to the point of just believing it, and then it has a lot of fun with it at that point.
Yeah.
And so you can't come out of the movie without having fun, and that's all they're there for, really.
Yeah.
Which is a direct contrast to the DC movies at the time, when we had Man of Steel, and we were just coming off of the Dark Knight series. So it's we're told to take those seriously, and in Marvel we were told, take it a little seriously, but just have fun with it. Mostly. Yeah. So it was like a breath of fresh air, almost, in my opinion. Now, that being said, now watching these scenes, they do seem dated. It's weird. And I think it's just Joss Whedon's style. And like you said, it's not his fault. It's just a product of the times. So it's not a bad movie. It's just that looking back on this with a 2020 lens, pun. But looking back on it, though, it does seem dated now. But it's 8 years old now, so.
True.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that is my dog sneezing, by the way.
Bless her. Bless her.
Bless you. Bless you. Give me a few. I'm just gonna put the fan on. Maybe you can tell the people about the next scene. I'm just gonna turn on my fan.
Sure. So, fans, you want to hear me talk?
Let's turn the fan on.
Well, here I go. Okay, so, so we just left Black Widow in her interrogation scene, and then now we're off seeing her in, I can't remember where exactly this takes place, but she's now meeting up with Bruce Banner for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
And, so this scene, actually, she kind of does that. Yeah, I'm just seeing it now. She does that face again, where he kind of tries to like tease her and like kind of freak her out, right? Yeah, and then she pulls out her gun, and then she's got this like quivering face.
I remember hating that scene for the longest time. Even on rewatches of this movie after it came out, I really didn't like that scene because to me it seemed like an unintended jump scare. But what's so weird is watching it this time around. Sorry, let me just say unintended jump scare because it always made me jump, even though it's not really intended to be a jump scare, but it always made me jump. Anyways, this time watching it, I really loved that scene because I was like, that's Bruce Banner using his intelligence to really get out of her the truth, Like when he makes
really the one doing the interrogating.
Exactly. When he gets mad at her, she instantly like shows all her cards, like everyone stand down, and he's just like, you're all alone, eh? Like it's like, he used his intelligence to figure that out. Like that's so good. I love it.
Yeah, I guess because he knows how S.H.I.E.L.D. operates already.
Exactly.
So he could kind of figure like exactly what's going on. There's one line he says, "Avoiding stress isn't the secret," and I was trying to recall when we left off from the Edward Norton Hulk, at the end he was working on bringing his heart rate down, right?
Yes.
That's how it ended.
Yeah.
So to me that was, I guess that means like from the span of the ending of that movie up until this movie. Whatever Edward was doing was not working.
It didn't work out.
Like,
Yeah,
pretty much didn't work out.
Didn't work out.
Yeah, so instead of avoiding the stress and bringing my heart rate down, it's keep the heart rate up all the time.
I guess so. And as you and I pointed out, though, at the end of that movie with Edward Norton, he's like sitting cross-legged and stressed, and he smiles at the camera. It says days until last accident, and the counter goes down. It goes down to 0, as if he just turned into the Hulk.
It probably went back to like 1, I think.
Yeah, but it was like, wait, what? So, like, you're smiling, but you're also, like, you just turned into the Hulk? Like, I didn't understand what they were trying to tell me. But that's how I take it now. He, like, smiled because he's like, this is not working. And then he just turned into the Hulk. Probably destroyed half of Canada. And then after that, we get Mark Ruffalo's the Hulk, who's like, stress is not the not the answer.
Forget whatever you think I thought I knew. Yeah.
So the actual secret, as we'll find out later. I'll keep you all in suspense.
Yes.
So we move on down the line. We go to, is it Captain America next?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got
Captain America
doing his good old punching bag scene.
Yes, he's got a whole bunch lined up, ready to go.
I do love that.
He just takes him down.
That's really good editing, in my opinion, where he's punching the bag and it keeps cutting back to his movie. I really love how they did that. It's really powerful, and pun not intended, punchy. And then literally when he just hits the bag and it flies down to the ground and everything just stops and you're just like, whoa. Like you just feel all his emotion, and then you're not expecting it. He just grabs another bag. You're like, oh my god, this guy's the most badass guy in the world.
Yeah, and you know what? It's probably, I don't know if this is like a cliche thing for when they have boxing scenes, but it did kind of remind me of Rocky. Like,
oh, I know.
You know, while Rocky's kind of training, every time he hits the punching bag and he thinks about, you know, something that's happened in his past that's like making him want to keep fighting, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting seeing that in this. It's like, oh, cool. They're taking elements that like I'm really familiar with, and like this, it makes sense, like getting those kinds of associations. Yeah, and you were saying the last time that this was it's supposed to be the shoot, what's his name?
Foggy's gym.
Foggy Nelson,
yeah,
right?
Foggy Nelson. It was supposed to be his dad's gym, Fogsworth or something. That's probably wrong. Don't quote me on that. But
the Foggy Gym.
The Foggy Gym. I don't know. It's just it was an original intention of theirs was to make that the Fogsworth or whatever his dad's gym. So
okay.
Yeah. So then we get the same scene we've probably already seen from the after credits and all that with Nick Fury telling him he's got another job for him. Got a job for him, Mission Impossible style. And you know, and Cap's just wanting to get distracted really with anything at this moment, so he wants to take the job, and we move on down the line.
Yes. Where are we now?
And we get Tony Stark probably next.
Yeah, Tony Stark. I think because the conversation between those two ended up with. I think he said that Howard. Like at the end of their conversation, he said that Howard had gone to dig up the Tesseract.
Yeah, Cap tells him we should have left it where it was.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's a good line. Like Cap's intuition is like his best thing. You know, like he always he goes with his gut, and his gut is almost always right. It's so. I think
he's really good for having those quips, right?
Yeah,
and that's probably just to keep reminding you that he's not just all muscle. Like he's a balance of everything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so then we open up with in this scene we open up with Tony Stark in his Iron Man suit fixing something for the Stark Tower underwater. And yeah, so this is the first time that we see finally the Stark Tower after some of the previous movies, instead of just him being at home, but now he's kind of built this giant facility. And yeah, we get some nice chemistry between him and Pepper Potts. Just the whole like, oh, this is your baby, no, it's my baby, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like you built this, like no, I built this, blah blah blah.
And then they get to percentage of money, and Tony's a stickler for.
Yeah.
So like 12%, just boom, ruin the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so good. I didn't realize the Stark Tower came into play in this movie. It's really weird. We've been watching these movies in order, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, they're building the Stark Tower in this movie, and I was like, oh yeah, that's not built yet. Like, it was really weird.
By the end of the whole MCU, I thought that the Stark Tower was there from the very beginning.
Me too. Like, it's so weird because it's such a staple. So it's so nice to see it erect in all of its glory.
Yes.
But it was just funny. I was like, wow, I can't believe this is the movie it came in. But it was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we get Agent Coulson coming in. The really good scene where Pepper shows some really good emotion there, where she says his hands are shaking. I never noticed she said that. Where she was like, she says he's shaken up. Like when she's talking to Tony privately, she's like, you can tell he's shaken up. She said his hands are shaking, and I was like, oh my gosh, like
Wait, when was that? I totally missed that.
Pepper and Tony go aside, and then they're talking together, and then she's like, this actually looks really serious, Tony. She's like, he looks shaken up, and she's like, his hands are shaking, and I was like, oh my god,
so referring to Coulson.
Yes, sorry, referring to Coulson.
Okay.
And I was just like, wow, like it was just so good. Like it really shows off how good Pepper is at reading people. She's always been very good at reading people. Obviously, she can read Tony like crazy. But
yeah, it's her attention to detail.
Yeah, and then obviously like it shows the relationship between her and other people too. Like Phil is not somebody that we think that she knows all that well, and yet she can tell that he's upset. And it just, I don't know, it was a nice little heartfelt moment. And then Tony does the whole screen things where he goes, this is what they're working on. It just shows all the screens. Oh, yeah. That reminded me of Iron Man 2 when they're in the courthouse. It just like pulls up all of Hammer's stuff. Like it was so good.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, seeing that, I think as soon as you see that scene where he blows everything up from his computer and you see like all the characters on these different screens, like you see, the first thing I saw was the Captain America's shield. And then,
oh really?
So that was
I
kind of like
the Hulk.
Well, I looked at the Hulk next. I think because the shield is more centered. But yeah, I did look at the Hulk next, and I couldn't remember, but I figured that they were using actual footage from the Edward Norton movie.
Oh, that would make sense, but I don't know. It actually looks like it might be its own original clips, but I can't tell.
It could be. Yeah, who knows? And I'm sure somebody knows. But I thought that was kind of cool because it was kind of like a little tease before we see the actual Avengers come together. And then there's a jet. What is this jet doing? Somebody's on a jet. It's probably Cap.
Oh yeah, Captain America gets on the jet. Because he goes on the mission, right? He's ready to go on the mission to go. Because Loki comes down.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm sorry. I just don't have my notes for like the order of the scenes, but yeah. So Loki gets Hawkeye and converts him into, let's say, quote unquote, a bad guy, and Hawkeye now needs to go and get some kind of material, some kind of rare material.
It was iridium.
Iridium, yes, he needs to get. Yeah. We also have Eric, who's going really crazy now with the Tesseract. He's now like, she's telling me things I've never heard before. So it's like, whoa,
I know
whoa,
there's a lot.
If she's talking to you, then like, what the heck?
Yeah, they really drive down like how consumed he becomes.
Mm-hmm.
I always focus like so much on his lips and how it's like peeling because like there's. I don't know if it's supposed to be like this drool that he's had from staring at the Tesseract, but it's dried up and it's on his lips or something. I don't know what the effect is, but or it's just that like he's just working so hard on it without doing anything else and not taking a break that but yeah, he just goes so crazy for it, which could kind of confuse me because later on we find out that he was sane enough or he was in enough control to build a failsafe. So I don't know.
I'd like to think that he started falling out of it at some point, but I don't really know, obviously.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I guess it's possible that he built a failsafe because even as a bad guy, in case something went wrong, that they needed to stop it, and he wasn't necessarily doing it for the good people. But
that's true. I guess if you're building anything, you're probably going to want to build some kind of failsafe. Even if you're a bad guy, you don't want everyone to die or yourself to die for that matter.
You don't want you to die. Yeah. You want your plan to succeed, right? So, let's see what else. Next we get.
So, is it the gala where Loki goes to the gala thing?
I believe it's coming up because we have a little snippet where Loki kind of zens out and he transports himself to visit the other again.
The Jitari.
And then now we see. So okay, now we're seeing a little bit more of the other. I think that's the character's name, the other. His whole like outfit, which has some semblance of Thanos.
The plating.
A little bit. Yeah, it's like kind of like the gold trims and all that kind of stuff, which I mean, I guess it's fine. I don't know if they really need to make him and the Chitauri necessarily look like Thanos at all, but they do happen to have some sort of similarities. And then, yeah, there's not too much there other than the fact that Loki, like it seems that Loki's supposed to be sort of threatened by how much the other potentially can do to him.
Right.
But at the same time, he still seems so confident. I guess that's part of his character. Maybe that helps him. I guess that makes him more more appropriate for being the main antagonist for this movie, that even though he is kind of doing this under the control or he's doing it all under Thanos, but at the same time like he's confident in what he's able to do, so that we don't necessarily get a sense that like he's too weak to be doing any of this, right, just as being like one person. And even though we kind of seen him fail in previous movies, that now he has this like newfound strength, I guess.
Yeah, and it is also Loki versus the world at this time, so it's, well, I don't know. No, I think you're right. Actually, it's kind of like more. There's more to it than I guess just the Loki we know from Thor. There is something that we don't understand, obviously, that he understands.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Let's see. Then we finally get to see. I think this is the first time we were seeing this, right? The Shield helicarrier.
Well, it's not actually a helicarrier yet at the time. We're just talking. Is it just when Captain America and Agent Coulson are in the plane?
Well, no, because it's after that. So they were on the plane, and then the next scene after that would be when Loki transports himself to see the other.
Okay.
And then the next scene is when Captain America is now on the helicarrier meeting. Is that what? Yeah, he's meeting Bruce Banner. He's meeting Black Widow. Yeah, I think it's their first time meeting. So now they're kind of just like discussing what the next steps are, and like, you know, why are we here? What does Fury have planned? And then we get that line. Oh shoot, what's the whole line? Something about he plans to keep me. They want me submerged in a pressurized container or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good line. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think I was super confused because like from the angle that it shows, you see all the like the water turbines going. I'm like, okay, so it's a really really big submarine.
Yeah, exactly. Your brain's trying to figure it out. Like what?
Yeah, but like nobody's going underground, so it's going up, and now I get it. So
oh no, this is much worse.
Cool. Yeah,
yeah, it's a good line. I love I do love their banter back and forth. It's just really good moments where Cap is like, he's like, oh, doctor, like, and he's talking to Bruce Banner, and I can't remember the exact line, but he's introducing himself to Bruce Banner, and he's like, oh, is that
a big fan of your work?
Yeah, big fan of your work. And he's like, oh, like, is that all you know about me or whatever? And he's like, it's the only thing that matters or whatever. Like,
it's the only part, maybe like the only part I care about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The way he says it's like, oh man, he just instantly saw Bruce's insecurities and then just like, cast them aside. It's like, don't worry about it. I was like, oh yeah, he's so good at that.
I think it's kind of funny because I guess Captain America, he's supposed to be sort of like the voice of reason, and like as an audience perspective, maybe you're supposed to be in tune with that. Like, oh, he's the good guy, what he thinks should be right.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, as the audience, we do want to see like what Banner becomes as the Hulk.
For sure. There's a bit of Tony and Steve in all of us, right? Like there's the virtuous, but also like a bit of that chaotic neutral that you kind of want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We see the helicarrier go completely invisible. Man, they must have so much money.
Yeah, it's insane. Again, why does NASA have to be a thing? If they've got all this going on, this is miles ahead of NASA.
It's like, well, I don't know. Maybe I think in NASA or like military, they have some sort of similar tech at their disposal, but just like at this scale, I think is the difference, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I got my scenes a little mixed up here on that. So, but that's actually where I ended Act 1 was when they go up in the helicarrier.
We forgot to go over. What is your Act 1 called?
Oh, you know what? I never named it. I didn't name any of my acts. Oh, no.
That's okay.
I told you we are off the rails. We're unhinged
today. Well, if you need, I actually have alternate act names.
Perfect.
But I won't tell you the alternate names until the very end because they're kind of they go hand in hand, so you have to say them out loud together.
Nice. Okay.
So you can take those ones.
Perfect.
And I'll tell you what my primary ones are. So my Act 1 is actually called Send in the Clowns.
Ah.
And it's because Shield is kind of the foundation, but they get taken down. So like now, what do we do, right? And let's call for these other caped crusaders
random
kind of thing.
Plan D we've got.
Yeah. Where's my Act 1? And my Act 1 actually ended a little bit later.
Okay. Why don't we go to yours then? Because I have my scenes mixed up. I thought that we had. This makes more sense this way. I just for some reason was thinking the other scenes where there was Loki and the fight scene between Captain America and Loki. I thought that happened already, but I had that wrong in my head. So why don't we continue on a bit?
Oh, I think because I might have misinterpreted because when you were talking about Hawkeye, knowing that he has his mission to get the iridium.
Yeah.
That happened a little bit later. It's like it's after the helicarrier scene.
Okay, gotcha.
But I didn't realize maybe you were trying to like push forward.
No. For the audience's reference, normally I've got notes for each scene, but in this one time, as I've said, we're unhinged. I've got like 0 notes, so I'm just going by memory on all this.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, now Hawkeye finds out about the iridium that he's going to get from Dr. somebody. Dr. Henrik Schaefer. I think I wrote down his name. I don't know if he's...
Henrik Schaefer.
Enrique Schaeferia. He might have...
Gonzalez.
He might be a character in some other comic unit, or maybe some other comic arc. I'm not really sure.
Possibly.
But anyway, so he's got to go find him. We get back to the helicarrier, and we finally see Sitwell's face. So there's a whole bunch of times during this movie where we see Sitwell's... so Agent Sitwell is one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, but he's also a double agent for Hydra.
Right.
That we find out a little bit later. But anyway, so in this one, we see the back of his head in so many scenes, and he has this one scene where he finally turns around and says like, "Oh, we found there's like a 70." He says like, "There's a 60% match." No, scratch that. There's a 70% match on Loki, and I don't know why they did that, but anyway, so so now this is where Loki is the one that is attending the gala. And then he goes and strips that guy's eye.
Good scene.
I don't know if
he uses the eyeball stripper to strip the guy's eyeball. Quite unique.
Yes. Yeah.
I've never seen that device before, and whatever else it's supposed to be used for, it works really well at popping eyeballs out. So.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing with the bad guys. Like, they get their own sets of gadgets that the good guys don't have.
Yeah. They got eyeball rippers.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so that's... I mean, the technology itself is kind of cool. So, so we get that. He steals the stuff. He's walking out, and then we have that scene where we did the that Act 1 dialogue where he wants everybody to kneel. When he first said kneel,
oh yeah,
my reaction was like, he's looking for Neil. Where is Neil? I need Neil.
Neil Young. Where is Neil Young?
Neil Young. I know you're there. That's why I came here. And then so then this is where we get Captain America's entrance with, I think it's with the shield, right? He throws the shield.
Yes.
Knocks back Loki a little bit. Yeah.
This is an interesting moment because he's like, this is Captain America's first, like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fight for shield, and like kind of doesn't make it, like punches Loki and realizes like, geez, like I'm up against something pretty intense. Like his first go about, and it's against a god. Like.
Yeah. I think from a writing perspective, that's probably a good idea because we, so far in like post Hulk, like we know that Captain America is one of the strongest humans,
right?
So not talking about Thor, but he's one of the strongest humans in human form. So when for pitting him up against Loki as Loki's kind of first fight after getting the tester. No, actually this is the second fight. First fight was against Shield, but first fight against the Avengers in some form. That he's not so easily taken down. So again, this is more emphasis on he's not just some loser god who couldn't hack it there. He is somebody who is like Earth people, kind of Earth humans, where Earth humans have to be somewhat scared of what Loki is capable of.
Right, what else lurks out there.
Yeah.
And his powers are a little bit ambiguous too, so it is hard to know, like, is Captain America impervious to gunfire? Like, it's something we don't really know in this movie, so we do have to wonder many times, like, what he can and can't do. So punching Loki... I think
we know that he's not, because he gets shot in...
He does get shot.
He gets... when is it? He gets shot sometime, because I think...
But later in the movie, he gets shot. At this moment, we don't really know, and we are kind of wondering. But him punching a god, and he hurts his hand doing it, you're kind of like, ooh, interesting.
Felt that one.
Packs a wallop. Yeah, so that's... I like that, and I do like the introduction to Iron Man. Of course, he comes in the way he has to come in.
Yeah, with that, like, pop... I don't know what song it was, but it was like AC/DC or something like that.
Was it Shoot to Kill again? I feel like it was Shoot to
Kill.
Yeah,
maybe it was, yeah.
Shoot to Kill.
So it's a very, very Iron Man-esque entrance, his typical fashion.
Yeah.
They end that little bout with Loki, and then I actually wrote down, like, their dialogue between the two of them was just Mr. Stark, Captain.
Yeah.
And like that's it.
Yeah.
I wrote the start of a beautiful friendship.
Which is, in one word I would say, frosty. It is frosty.
Yeah, it's frosty.
Yeah.
Stay frosty out there.
They are really good together. I do like how Cap's coming right off the back of meeting Howard and then going right to Tony. I really wish there was a few more name drops of Howard, but still, that being said, I do like how you can instantly see their disagreements, where he's like, oh, Fury didn't tell me you were coming in. He's like, yeah, Fury doesn't tell you a lot of things, does he? And it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smart. Interesting. Yeah. And we will obviously see that play out more and more as the whole saga goes through, but it starts right here immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really liked Thor's entrance here.
Oh, yeah.
Where all of a sudden there's just a whole bunch of lightning.
You're afraid of a little lightning?
Like, I'm not overly fond of what comes next, or something like that.
So good, yeah.
And then, then he just lands on the thing, and the whole thing shakes.
Yeah.
Like, he's so strong that his landing makes it shake. It's so cool.
Now, I don't like Thor's kind of one-note nature in this movie. He's a different Thor in this movie than he is in his movie. Like, in his movie, he's more of a character, and in this movie, he's definitely just, like, a god of thunder the whole time. Behold,
probably
I'm
have
the
to-
mighty god of thunder. And you're kind of like, oh, geez, Thor, what happened to all your character development from your movie? Like,
Yeah, no, that's so true. I wonder if maybe they just had to kind of dial it down because he's going to be in scenes next to other characters like
Yeah.
Tony Stark. He's like a really big, grand kind of character, right? So
yeah,
you need to have some sort of contrast there for otherwise then Tony Stark's character kind of shines less,
right.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, but I do agree with you that he's kind of, it's almost like he's dumbed down.
But
in a way.
the scene we do get next, the Shakespeare in the Park scene, is actually pretty good for Thor and Loki. Like, they start, talking the way they kind of do in their movie. So you get a little bit of their character development there, as he's asking Loki why he's doing what he's doing kind of thing. And Loki's talking about the Allfather putting all the dark matter into making him come onto Earth kind of thing. So there's some interesting dialogue there. They're like, our father, they kind of get into the whole relationship stuff they do from their movies. It's interesting, and then it gets torn away from us pretty quickly when Iron Man gets all pissed off.
I don't like how they do that for...
Neither do I.
Like, it just didn't... It doesn't make sense to me. Okay, they don't know who Thor is, but they don't... I don't think they have enough to know that Thor is a threat.
I know. It's bizarre.
So yeah, for him to fly through and take down Thor away from the target that they wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
It like that, I don't know, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense.
I know, it seems very weird to me, and I've never really enjoyed the scene. I just like that they discover the Tony Stark beam on Captain America's shield. No, I'm sorry. The Thor hammer on Captain America's shield later on in the scene. That's the only part of this whole scene I like. Other than that, I find it all just kind of frivolous, and it's like for the audience's sake to see what it's like when these characters fight each other.
Yeah.
It does answer a few questions, but it also makes me ask more. Like, why is Iron Man able to hold his own against Thor? It seems so strange to me. Like, Thor's so strong. I could see Captain America and his shield working against Thor, as he does with Loki. But with Iron Man, I feel like, how is his armor working with the strength of Thor? I feel like he could crush Iron Man. And he does sort of crush his arms a bit, but not in the way that I'm expecting.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's kind of a weird face-off. I think that the point of this is probably because Loki has to see that these characters are coming together and they can't work together.
Yes.
Because that's something that he uses later on. I just wish they had gone about it a different way.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And then they capture Loki. Steve just kind of does, boys. Oh, you boys. And then they capture Loki. I remember in the theater thinking, like, Loki's going to get away, man. Like, he's just totally going to fly away.
Like,
and I even thought it this time. I was like, does Loki get away here? And then, no. He just is still captured, so.
Just watches, yeah. When they have that little standoff where it's just the three of them, Captain America looks so small compared to them. I don't know if it's the camera angle, but...
I think it's camera angle, but it is weird. Like, later on, they fix this problem of making Cap look more like he stands on his own compared to the others. But in this movie, he does look a little bit less in stature. And even some of his roles in their fights is, like, less in stature sometimes to what they're all doing. So
yeah.
And they do find Steve Rogers a little bit better in the next movies.
Yeah. So after this, when they finish off the fight, that's actually the end of my Act 1.
Okay. That works for me. Since I'm already
Great.
done. So let's move into Act 2.
Act 2.
Which
actually, I think
I haven't called anything except for starts in S.H.I.E.L.D. aircraft, which is actually pretty much what I meant too, because I was just mixing a different scene. I thought when they go up in the helicarrier, then it goes to all them meeting in the helicarrier, but I had that wrong, obviously. This scene happened first, and then they all meet in the helicarrier. So it is technically the same spot. I just thought the other scene happened first.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
So my Act 2 is called Ant Boot, a Loki perspective.
I do like that. Ant meet Boot.
Yeah.
Very well done. Samuel Jackson really does nail it in this movie. He's definitely good. It's nice to see him actually be in the whole movie. So he's just got certain lines that stick with you. In Winter Soldier, he's got a line about how his granddad used to have a paper bag, and he'd bring his lunch with him to work every day. And then eventually he would have a gun in his paper bag. And just the way he says it, it's like, man, that line just sticks with me, man. Like, I don't know what it is. Samuel Jackson's just good at delivering it.
Yeah, he does have good delivery, especially with these kind of characters.
Is the sun on the left?
No, wait, how does he say it?
No, he's like, is the sun going down? They're like, yeah. He's like, then put it on the left.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's so good. Great delivery.
It's great. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Act 2. Here we go. We got a little scene here. Big man in a suit of armor. Take that off. What are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
I know, guys, with none of that worth 10 of you. I've seen the footage. The only thing you really fight for is yourself. You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play, to lay down on a wire and let the other guy crawl over you.
I think we'll just cut the wire.
Always a way out. You know, you may not be a threat, but you better stop pretending to be a hero.
A hero? Like you? You're a lab rat, Rogers. Everything special about you came out of a bottle.
Put on the suit. Let's go a few rounds.
Put on the suit.
Yeah, as much as I really do like their interactions, I do find it a little weird that Steve's so antagonistic. He's not this way ever again. Like, even with Bucky, you know? Like, he's never this antagonistic.
It's very weird for that to be drawn out so quickly.
Yes.
Because I think even if he feels like somebody else is like not on the same page, he wouldn't antagonize him that much, like, right off the bat. He'd probably, you know, do his best to kind of instill a little bit more like, oh, you know, a good person would do this kind of, not those words, but like instill that kind of concept.
Like,
right?
don't get me
like,
wrong, it feels very real. It definitely feels very human. It doesn't feel very Steve Rogers. He's never felt like a regular human. He feels like the one we're all supposed to be like, you know, like the most stoic individual ever. So it's very funny to see him like act like a human being here and be like getting angry and then be like, put on the suit, like, let's fight frivolously, let's just fight. Like, it is weird, but at the same time, I don't mind it. I do like the dialogue between them. And it is funny with the parallels of him telling him to put on the suit. Then the danger happens, and then he literally tells him to put on the suit.
Yeah, put on the suit. Yeah.
So this scene, when we got all the gangs all here on the aircraft carrier, is that where we're at? I think it's where we're at.
Yeah, that's where we're at. And so we had Loki do his walk of shame. He eyes Banner, as Banner is kind of like inspecting stuff. So I think we're supposed to be led to believe that he knows something about Banner, or like he has something in mind, because he's got that like really nasty grin.
Right.
It's not just that he's trying to intimidate, but I think it's just like all a part of his plan.
It's implied scheme.
Yeah. And then after that, then we have all the Avengers in a room for the first time together. They're not all suited up. So it's almost like, yet again, it's kind of like another tease for the audience. Like, here's the Avengers, but they're not really the Avengers yet.
And I don't know about you. I'm not trying to knock the movie at all. Again, I'm just saying it's dated. But the lines here seem so trying to push the plot. Like, they're just so, like, on the nose of what's happening in the plot at the moment. And it's like, the things that I actually care about, where it's like, oh, we're going to name drop Eric here. And then Thor's like, oh, I know him. And then it's just suddenly like, oh, interesting. And then it's like, let's move on. Like, it's like, no, I don't want to move on, though. Like, I really want to dwell on those moments. And I understand the movie's trying to push forward with the plot. But it's like, I don't know. They handle this better in the later movies when people meet each other. And I don't know what it is. I really don't know. It feels dated to me now when I watch it. It does actually seem kind of TV movie. And I don't mean that in a harsh way, but it does seem like I'm watching some kind of like low
budget.
Yeah, like a lower budget TV movie. And unfortunately, also the color scheme of this movie. You and I have talked about this, but the color scheme of this movie doesn't help. In this scene, it's so jarring. All the colors are so vibrant in a washed up world, so everything looks ridiculous. Like, everybody kind of looks like they're on a TV set, and you're kind of like, wait, what? And this is where I think the $22 million budget or whatever really falls in. I think they actually had a lower budget than we expected, and it just isn't that spectacular, unfortunately. Seeing all these people sit there, they all just kind of look a little schlubby.
A little bit, yeah. And I think, so with Captain America's suit, so yeah, Coulson said earlier that he made a few adjustments, like some of his own.
Are the stars and stripes a little outdated? Or a little old-fashioned?
Yeah. Oh yeah, some with what's coming ahead, we might need a little old-fashioned or something, which I thought was kind of a nice line. Like,
I like that line.
Like, it could be foreshadowing to, you know, what we're gonna see later in the movie and whatever they find is old-fashioned, which is pretty much just like an all-out brawl.
For sure.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, so his suit, it's so, for one, it's kind of like, it's very slender compared to the ones that he was wearing in Captain America. And also, it's not tarnished, it's not brown. There's like no brown whatsoever. It's a very vibrant blue. It's not
so
like a
blue.
darker, like a navy. It's closer to the one that he wears. I guess, does he make a change to his outfit? I can't remember, in Captain America. Because he wears the one that, like, the Star Spangled Man or whatever. Which is very, very vibrant. And this one seems just as vibrant, which just seems kind of like, it's not tactical. You know, like from an agent perspective of S.H.I.E.L.D., you'd think that he'd want to make something that's a little bit more covert, where he can kind of blend in.
Yes.
If he's with a whole bunch of other agents or like SWAT members or something. But nope, he's gonna be the big blue guy. Just follow the big blue guy, big blue eyes, blonde hair, big red shield. He's the one.
Yeah,
follow that
exactly.
guy. Yeah.
I think that's what it is. None of it feels very realistic. It does. Maybe it's trying to be comic book. Maybe it's trying to be larger than life, and obviously that worked back then. Because I remember I wasn't complaining about this in 2012. I was happy about this in 2012. Yeah. So watching it now, though, it's kind of like, oh, I didn't realize that until looking back on it. I feel like people who lived in the 80s or people who watched movies in the 80s and loved them, and then they look back on them now, they probably have that feeling where they're kind of like, oh, that 80s nostalgia is kind of... It was quite 80s back then, wasn't it?
It's not really working anymore. But yeah, I agree. So it could be because now that we've seen more iterations of Captain America and like his suits or his outfits kind of get darker and darker as we progress through the rest of the MCU.
Right.
Maybe I'm just really used to that, and so seeing this is kind of just like, whoa, now this movie is like the rainbow movie. And later on we see like the chocolate covered rainbow.
I like how you say rainbow movie. It does seem like that. It because I almost feel like that one shot at the end with the circle of them, I feel like that's the only reason why they had the suits this way, was so that they could make it kind of rainbowy. Yeah, exactly. They probably just wanted it for posters and for all that, and I totally get it, but it's funny now looking back on it because it's kind of old marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. I just want to make that note, and this scene is where I really started noticing that in the movie, and it was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. One thing that I found interesting, so shortly after we see them all gather together, then they start I think they start diverging and they want to do their own stuff, so Tony Stark goes to work with Banner. I found that this interaction was a little bit interesting and not like one that we would normally see with Iron Man. But Tony starts kind of like consoling Banner, like sort of like kind of making him feel better.
Right.
About like, him being in the situation and like what's going on and stuff. And I take it as like, because Tony sees Banner as like an intelligent equal.
Yeah.
That's why he's more willing to put in this effort to like to be social with him, like on a nice, like with like a nicer relationship. And then I mean that's also good because then we kind of, is it in Age of Ultron, it's the two of them that kind of, oh no, wait, how does it work? Yeah, no, in the comics it's Tony Stark and Hank Pym that kind of make Ultron, but in this one it's pretty much Tony Stark and Banner, right? Like, yeah, that put together Ultron. So I guess so maybe this kind of starts off them having like a better working relationship, so we can kind of lead into Ultron and getting to that point. But either way, we don't really see this kind of side of Tony where he's putting the effort to console another man, especially. Like, he might put in more effort for women.
For sure.
And like Pepper, for example. But like for him to do this for some person that he just met, he's a fan of him turning into a big, huge rage green monster or something.
Well, we're seeing him in a leadership role, right? It's something we see more of him later on. But you know how we mentioned in Iron Man 2 how like it's the starting of him with teamwork and working with team members and all that? This is really the start of him being a mentor. And we'll see it more with Spider-Man, obviously. But with this, for now, it's Tony really taking on the leadership role and understanding how somebody feels and trying to help them through that. And you're right to point that out because it is a really good scene.
Yeah. And then I think we just get there's a bunch of kind of like in between scenes and some.
Yeah, we don't need to break down all those scenes, obviously. But
yeah, we just kind of get one thing I wanted to mention was that we get a mention of Black Widow's father.
Oh, we do. I didn't know that.
Because when she goes to interrogate Loki,
right,
he all of a sudden reveals all this information he knows about her, including that she is Dreykov's daughter.
Oh.
And then that's kind of when she starts.
I did not even hear that. Oh my gosh, good call.
Yeah, and I don't think we hear this again other than in Endgame, right? When that iteration of the Red Skull says the same thing, that she is Dreykov's daughter.
Weird. I don't remember hearing that in Endgame either.
I guess you just don't care about Black Widow, but that's okay.
Well, you know what's funny? I really didn't. I didn't care about Black Widow. It wasn't until I saw the trailer for the Black Widow movie that I finally now like this character. It's taken a long time for me.
I think, and I think in these movies she's kind of overshadowed.
Overshowered. Too clean.
She's
way
too clean.
It's disgusting how clean she is.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, so we get that, and I'm kind of curious why there wasn't a little more build up on that. Unless there was, and I just completely forgot. So maybe there is. But yeah. So then we get the scene where she uses her interrogation skills to look scared and find out that Loki wants to use the Hulk.
Right.
And then.
So that's your play.
What?
His target is Banner. She's like so intense. Just changes instantly.
Yeah. And then what do we get? Then we get I actually really like the scene where all the Avengers have kind of gathered and they're confronting Nick Fury.
Yeah, that is good.
Because like Tony had been recording, and well, obviously he has these resources to find out all that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been up to.
Yeah.
I think Thor is kind of questioning, why are you doing things this way? And Captain America finds some weapons that S.H.I.E.L.D. was going to supposedly use to like weaponize or like energize with the Tesseract to
Jazzercise.
To jazzercise with the Chitauri or any kind of being that comes from out of outer space. So I really like this scene because it's all of the Avengers that are encircling Nick Fury. So it's kind of like this whole back and forth where it's like zigzagging, like where's this bad energy going from? Like from an Avenger to Fury, from to Avenger to Fury, to Avenger to another Avenger to Fury, and it's kind of just like this whole kind of like whoa, like everybody's just like spiraling, but it's so well done. And I like the kind of slow pan around because
even upside down,
more intensity, and then eventually goes upside down. That's kind of weird, but up until that, I really liked this scene.
Yeah, you can feel the tension building, and everyone's lines are actually well written, so that like it's not just one of those scripts where it's suddenly just like, and then they argue. It's like everyone actually has a poignant line that makes sense for their character at that moment, and they all have real concerns. Again, though, we are seeing Cap say some pretty antagonistic things and get to a place that we never really see him get to ever again. So he just seems like a non-Captain America character in this moment. I'm always expecting him to just be like the leader or to take control in moments like that, but it is weird to see him kind of be on the riot side, like the anarchy side in this scene.
I just remembered when I was in the theaters watching this scene, I think because then they ended up panning and flipping upside down to focus on the Tesseract. Oh, sorry, not the Tesseract, but the Scepter. That I thought that something about the Scepter's energy, right? Because it's the Mind Stone, right?
Yes, it does seem a little Horcruxy or something, right? It's like it's like working on their mind. It's almost like the Ring in Lord of the Rings or something. It's making them think bad thoughts or something or get more evil.
Yeah. It's like feeding off their negative energy.
Yeah,
so it seemed like it was supposed to be like that, but it didn't really pan off that way. So I kind of just like forgot that notion. But so when Cap confronts Tony and says, "You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play," I kind of took this as a little foreshadowing.
Right.
Like if Tony is, I see him as the kind of guy to step up. But because of his pride, right? Not necessarily because he thinks it's the right thing to do, but because of his pride. And so I feel like because Cap kind of calls him out, like, you're not the guy to make the sacrifice play.
Right.
But then Tony eventually
he's like, I am that guy. I'm going to prove that I'm that guy.
Yeah. Because, like, he's proving... It's not even that he's proving his worth. He's just proving, like, he does what he wants. So if he wants to make the sacrifice play, then he'll do it kind of thing.
Right. If you want to just give me 2 seconds here, I just need to go get a toy for my dog. Ooh. And I will be right back. Just give me 2-second break. Hold on.
Cool.
And we are back.
Welcome
She
back.
was chewing my bed, so I was like, you know what? You can't chew my bed, so I just got a toy for her. I don't know why I didn't grab a toy earlier. Anyways.
Oh, good.
We're all back. So.
Great.
Yeah. So then Bruce Banner, he's the one who grabs the scepter, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I found that, yeah, like you said, it seems like they were trying to do something with the Mind Stone there because they're like, Bruce put down the spear or scepter. You know, it's very Harry Potter. It's like, Ron, take off the necklace. You know, it's like, oh yeah, it's very that esque. I think those movies were around the same time too. I wonder if they got the same idea.
Oh yeah, it could have been. Also, the books came out like way before too.
That's true. Yeah.
So other than that, like I do have a few kind of notes, but like Act 2 pretty much takes place for me all in the helicarrier, which I think is kind of cool. That we don't kind of shift from like one place to another place.
Yeah, even the battle, even the fight scene, it's all helicarrier. Yeah.
Everything takes place there, which I really like because it kind of it kind of shows like there's only one playing field for what kind of happens next. So you know, use what you got kind of thing.
Right.
And then and what I like about this is that I guess because Hawkeye, you know, he has some insider knowledge being in SHIELD, but the bad guys led, and this task led by Hawkeye, like it pretty much goes together flawlessly in a way. Like they don't really have a lot of hiccups. They get in the way they want, they get out the way they want.
Right. Yeah.
And they totally take down they don't necessarily all fight the Avengers, but they do enough damage to the Avengers, like ego wise.
They pinpoint their weaknesses quite well. Like it's very tactical.
Yeah. So yeah, I really like that scene or this whole act because of that. It's just like the bad guys, like they know exactly what they're doing. They can work together. It doesn't matter where they are. Like they know what they're doing and they're gonna get it done.
Yeah.
So it kind of shows that like they really are like a force to reckon with. In the midst of that, we get a Hulk transformation that is not in the dark.
Yeah, I know.
It's in full
we actually
light.
get to see what's going on for once, and it's pretty creepy because it's a danger. That's a really good way to paint the Hulk, and I was really impressed by that. Him transforming is something that's actually scaring our main characters, which I love. It builds that whole suspense and everything. You're like, oh, he's supposed to be a good guy, isn't he? But you don't know, right? 'Cause it's like he's uncontrollable.
Yeah, and so this is kind of similar to where we see in the Edward Norton version that he's fighting these weird, I think Mexican guys or something. Like he's kind of chasing them down. Oh no, I think the SWAT team comes and they try to get him in, and he ends up kind of like hunting them down.
Right, exactly.
We got that one long corridor scene where the Hulk is chasing Black Widow.
Right.
Which was I found it to be very reminiscent of what happened in the Hulk movie.
I was thinking about when you mentioned that in the Incredible Hulk movie, you had mentioned this scene, and that's all I could think about in that moment.
Yeah, and it was kind of like, it's like the writers are saying, okay, think about this one, forget the other one. This is the one we want you to remember.
Yeah.
This chase scene, this Hulk.
Sorry, give me 2 more seconds. My fiance just came home. She's gonna take the dog, but I just have to go and talk to her. Give me 2 seconds. Hold on.
Okay.
And we're back.
We all back.
Sorry about that. Oh,
all good.
Yeah, sorry about
that. Where did we leave off? Right, Hulk chasing. Remember this Hulk.
Oh, it's funny when you mentioned that. So yeah, that's all I was thinking about was what you were talking about with the Incredible Hulk and how it's similar to that scene. When I was talking to my fiance about that, she was saying how this is something that they never do anymore. She's like, they wouldn't do a slow-mo scene like this and have someone running in slow-mo like that. And I was like, oh, it's funny because I can't think of another shot in the MCU at all, or Avengers movies at least, where they do something similar like this. It's just a deadpan run. And she said it looked old to her. She's like, this looks really old. And I was like, interesting. So I wonder if that's just some kind of technique they used to do in movies back then that they just don't do anymore. Not slow-mo in general, but just that specific slow-mo shot. It just looked so different to anything else they ever do.
Yeah, that's true. I can recall some other slow-mo moments, but not ones that are where it's like a run.
Yeah, it's like a deadpan run like that, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so then after that, we kind of break off into a Hulk-Thor fight. Which, I really like this fight too.
Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah, it's nice seeing those two pit against each other because like that kind of makes sense, more so than Thor against Iron Man or Captain America, but like Thor versus the Hulk, who kind of has like limitless power based on his rage, and I love the whole slow-mo like Mjolnir to the face kind of thing, and he just turns around and just socks him in the face.
Yeah.
I think
this is again one of those questions I didn't know I wanted to ask and then get the answer to. Like, it's so weird, but it's like I never thought about Thor versus Hulk, and then when it happens in the moment, you're like, yes, this is great.
Yeah, for sure. And the way that they make Hulk move, like there's like so much rage, like everything he does, it's like frantically happening, but there's so much power behind it, so it's very terrifying. So I really like every moment of the Hulk as the Hulk in Act 2. Then especially as he sees the pilot that starts like shooting at him because they want to divert his attention.
Target angry.
Yeah. when he notices that pilot and just jumps at it, like that actually was really terrifying.
Here I am trying to keep my dog calm while I'm here on the podcast, and it's so similar to a dog with the Hulk, right? Like, because he's like focused on the one thing, and then this little distraction just hit him, and he's like, oh, and like looks at the distraction, just lunges at it, right? So my puppy is right now, she's doing some nipping, so every now and then she'll turn on a dime, and then she'll just go for that nip, and it can be quite aggressive. So she can actually like she can bite you, and you end up bleeding a little bit, unfortunately. But she's a puppy, so she's learning her strength. But it is just like that with the Hulk. It's just like that instant, like, oh my god, what's she about to do? And then she just lunges. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, no, that's what I like about the Hulk, though. I like him being unpredictable like that. I really enjoy that version of it.
Yeah.
It's also funny because then it's like, oh, he like is just gone from the helicopter or from the helicarrier now.
Jumps on that on that jet and then grabs the guy as he ejects.
Yeah.
And chucks him.
Oh.
It's just like that's
another tally for the murder count for the Hulk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the guy still is able to get his parachute off, but still, like it could have gone so bad. But it's great. Yeah.
There's one terrified guy though.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think this is next, but we get the Thor jumping after Loki next.
It's within all of this.
Okay,
happening.
This is Thor's departure at least, though, is he's trying to capture Loki, who's does his little decoy move.
Yeah.
And Thor goes through him and lands into the giant antechamber that was designed for the Hulk. And I love Loki where he's like, are you ever not going to fall for that? Because it is kind of a, that's what the audience probably would have thought at that moment too. So it's a good way. This is Joss Whedon really showing his skill there. He's like really speaking for the audience in that moment and almost catching them before they said some kind of critique about the movie. So that was really good. I do like that.
Yeah. Beating the audience to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was Thor. Then he falls onto Earth. Obviously, Loki really harsh there with the button, just presses it. Again, this is not my favorite Loki. This is not the Loki I like to see, but I understand it. But I just don't like to see it. So. Yeah,
right. It's more of a vengeful Loki as opposed to just like the one who's. I mean, like in Thor, he was able to stand up for himself a little bit, right? Like he had some confidence in what he was trying to do with his plan. But
for sure.
This is a little bit. Yeah, it is a bit different.
We get to see much more of a range with Loki in Thor: The Dark World. We're going to see that obviously coming up, and I'm really excited for that because it's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but it's people make fun of it a lot, and I remember just Loki and Thor having some really good moments throughout that movie. So I'm excited for us to get to that place again and really break into their characters more. But unfortunately, here we get very just angry Loki. So.
Yeah. So I was really surprised when this happened when he killed Coulson.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why I was so surprised, because we didn't get a lot of Coulson up until this point.
Yep.
And this is also before Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. takes place, like the TV show, I mean.
Yeah.
So
I believe this is the jumping point, was from this movie to where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. started.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking back, I'm kind of surprised, like, how was I able to invest enough emotional energy into Coulson that I was so shocked that he died and, like, kind of really sad?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I guess we had enough of his scenes, because he had, like, a couple scenes here and there randomly, right? Like, he was in Thor.
Yeah.
He was in Iron Man.
He's definitely enough of a presence for you to know who he is. He's just that funny little Asian guy who just keeps showing up, right? So.
Yeah, it sounds like you said he's that funny little Asian guy.
He's Ping, the funny little Asian guy. No, he's the agent guy. And you see him, I think Iron Man 2 is where, like, you've already known him quite well, I guess, because that's when he's like, oh, I've got business in Tijuana, or whatever he says.
Right. Yeah.
It's not, I think he says New Mexico, actually, but then he heads down to go see Thor. And then in the Thor movie, obviously, we see him quite a bit in that one. I love when he's, like, interrogating Thor in the Thor movie. So I think we do get to see enough screen time of him that we should have that payoff when he's dead.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's shocking. It is quite shocking. I love his line, though. Oh, that's what it does.
That's what it does.
It's just so deadpan. I love it. And then it's so sad when Nick Fury comes up to him, because he's still just trying to complete the mission. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
And you can see just how devastated Fury is, too.
For sure.
For losing Coulson.
Yeah. It's like the guy that listens to him the most and never dies, except for this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, really, really big moment. And also, I mean, I guess because with the Avengers knowing that it is it's one life lost, but they also took it pretty hard.
For
right?
sure.
Or at least it seemed like they did.
We do miss, we did miss the line where Coulson obviously wants Captain America to sign his baseball cards, which is really funny, or his trading cards, I should say.
Right.
Which I do think is really funny. I love that line, that whole quip about it, you know? When Black Widow's all like, oh, did he ask you yet? And he's like, oh, no. It's kind of an odd thing. And then later on, they don't even, like, have him ask the question. They cut to the scene where he's in the middle of asking him, so you don't even know what he's asking him yet. Then when he says they're vintage, you're like, oh my god. It's so good. You realize what he's asking. Really good. It's just hilarious.
Yeah.
Very well done. That's, again, really good writing in that moment. That's on par. That's just perfect. But again, what's funny is you take that joke and it ends up becoming the catalyst for a really dramatic moment when Nick Fury suddenly like, you never did sign those baseball cards, did you? And it's like, oh,
yeah.
It's well done.
Yeah, very. Yeah, hits you right in the heart.
It does.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah. Anyway, so after that pep talk from Fury, that's the end of my Act 2. How about
that?
Yours?
Is about the end of mine. I mean, I kind of skip. Because I just kind of start when it's like New York, pretty much is all Act 3 for me.
Okay.
So there is a little bit extra of I don't know if this is in your Act 3 or not, but of Thor. No, sorry, of oh my gosh, the Hulk waking up and the guy thinking he's an alien.
Yeah.
Are you some kind of alien?
Well then, sir, you've got a condition.
His line delivery is so good at that. Yeah. That's on par with "Get off the phone."
Yeah, totally is. Get off the phone.
You know what? That guy would have been awesome to come out.
Oh,
are you or are you not an alien?
Yeah. Oh man,
that would have been great. So there was that scene, and there's like everybody kind of like with their redemption or their comeback kind of scenes, I guess. And Tony,
it's sort of like kind of recovery.
Exactly. And there's also Black Widow fighting what's his face, Hawkeye, Clint, and
Clint Barton.
I love how she just smacks him really hard over the head. And it looks like it hurts. It's like, oh, like it was such a hit, and he's just suddenly like, boom, like he's just done.
Actually, didn't she kind of like push his head into a
metal bar? Yeah, it was like, jeez.
Yeah. And then what does she call it? Cognitive recalibration.
Yeah, exactly. I hit you over the head really hard.
What does that mean? I hit you really hard in the head.
Yeah. It's funny. I remember back when the Avengers is in theaters and seeing this movie. Again, I didn't care about Black Widow or about Hawkeye all that much, so these scenes didn't matter to me. And their dialogue afterwards when he's recovering, you know, and she's talking to him, and they're going through like the red in her ledger and all that stuff. Again, none of that really mattered to me all that much. I wasn't that compelled. But these days when I watched it, my fiance and I were talking. I was like, I kind of forgot there's a fight scene of the two of them. Like we actually see them fight. I was like, that's interesting. To me now in 2020, that's interesting to watch. I was like, cool. And then watching their dialogue and seeing how close they are, and her not wanting to tell him that he's the reason why her red and her ledger is like out there now, because like he told Loki everything. So now Loki knows.
Oh, thank you. Yes. I was so confused by that.
I never picked that up earlier, but he's actually the reason why she got compromised. But she doesn't actually tell him that. She just says, I'm compromised. I have red in my ledger, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, but he's the one who told Loki when he was under the spell. But it's just so weird. It's this really interesting friend moment there, and I really like that scene now. So I don't know.
Okay.
I see it in a whole new light now, and I really enjoy it.
Thank you so much, because you finally completed this movie for me.
No problem.
That was like the one thing that I just could not grasp.
I know. I didn't get it either in
I
theaters. I didn't understand it. And I might still be wrong a little bit, but that's how I took it this time, and it made way more sense to me.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure it does.
But I really do like that. It's almost like a debt he now owes her, but doesn't know he does. But she's like trying to be nice about it and not have him owe it. I don't know. But again, it's like they both understand each other in this weird way, and I really like that.
Yeah. That's what their relationship is. That they're just like super tight. They've been through those kind of things together.
Now, I don't know if he's going to be in the Black Widow movie, but wouldn't that be great if they did sneak him in there and we had no idea? That would be really, really cool, I think.
Oh, that would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, because they obviously have that good relationship. So, anyway, so yeah, let's move into Act 3 then, and then we'll jump out of this Act 2. This really long Act 2.
Sure. So my Act 3 is called Taste the Rainbow.
Well, I get it, and that makes sense. Mine, I guess, is called Starts When the Gang Shows Up to New York.
Great. Totally get it.
So this is an interesting one. Oh, let's we got a scene here to play. The Chitauri are coming. Nothing will change that. What have I to fear?
The Avengers. Yeah, that's what we call ourselves. We're sort of like a team. Earth's mightiest heroes type thing.
Yes, I've met them.
Yeah, it takes us a while to get any traction. I'll give you that one. But let's do a head count here. Your brother, the demigod, a super soldier, a living legend who kind of lives up to the legend, a man with breathtaking anger management issues, a couple of master assassins, and you, big fella. You managed to piss off every single one of them.
That was the plan.
Not a great plan. When they come, and they will, they'll come for you.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
I thought the beast had wandered off.
You're missing the point. There's no throne. There's no version of this where you come out on top. Maybe your army comes and maybe it's too much for us, but it's all on you. Because if we can't protect the Earth, you can be damn well sure we'll avenge it.
Ooh. Nice. I was going to do the Captain America theme song by accident.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought too.
There we go, saved it. Yeah. Now, Loki, exactly, he kind of points out Loki's plan here, and it doesn't really make sense. Again, it's just angry Loki being angry, and that was the plan, was just to piss everyone off. Like, really? That was your plan? Because that's a weird plan.
Yeah, otherwise it's just like kind of him off the rails now, because he's just so upset things aren't going his way.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah, it is.
But I do like this. I like how Tony's kind of just like, he's so proud of this team he doesn't really even know, and this line really does show it, because he doesn't know Black Widow and Hawkeye enough to really say anything about them, so he just says a couple of master assassins. That's all he says. Like, there's nothing really, he doesn't say like a whiz kid with archery or something. Like, no, he just says a couple of master assassins. It's just really funny. It's kind of throwaway, which I do like. But again, he's
but that's Tony
He's
Stark,
stoic,
so
right? Or not? I know he's not stoic. He's proud. He's very proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said earlier.
So it doesn't really matter like what he thinks, as long as like he gives off the impression that he wants people to think about him.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we get the big New York battle. So this is where Tony is heading to New York, because he realizes that where Loki is going to attack next is the Stark Tower. Because he says he wants to make a big show out of it. This is really, again, I don't really follow this logic. I guess it kind of makes sense. But when he's kind of like, he wants to be seen, he wants to be heard by the whole world. He wants to have a building with his name on it. And it's a weird reference for him to pull, to not realize that he's making fun of himself. But then also, it's weird that like that's the one place in the world that's the most noticeable for Loki to go. Like, I guess it makes sense because it's hurting Stark. But it's also like, well, the Statue of Liberty is also in New York. That's also quite a monument. Like, I feel like that's one that they could have gone to. The Empire State Building is quite big, There's, I don't know, he could have gone to many places, I guess, in life that are like big landmarks that would have attracted a lot of people. It's interesting that Tony's instantly like, no, it has to be the Stark Tower, and that's where it's gonna be. And he just goes there immediately. And I'm not saying it's too convenient. It's just I didn't really follow his logic there when he just came to that conclusion.
Yeah, and it's also not like Loki has this big vendetta against the Avengers. They haven't like thwarted his plans a whole bunch of times.
No,
right?
no. He's kind of just making fun of them the whole time he's doing his plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of. I don't really have too much to say about that. It's just kind of. I think it's just one of those like throwaway conclusions. Like, okay,
we have to get from the helicarrier to New York, so this is how we're doing it.
Yeah.
But it works, and Tony's now in New York, and he has that speech with Loki in the Stark Tower, which I do like. That's the moment where everything gets better. But then Loki just kind of throws him out a window, and he's got his plan to get his suit. Again, this was really cool in the theaters, and these days, I don't know why, but this feels weirdly dated. It's like him falling. He doesn't look like he's about to die. He just kind of looks like he's falling, and he's like, I hope this works. But I'm like, you could clip your arm on anything here. Like, you're so close to death when he's falling out this building. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. I guess that's probably just to show like how much he knows of his own tower.
I guess so.
He knows exactly what is in and around it. I don't know.
And then when he gets the suit, he rockets up immediately. He almost hits the ground. He almost hits people, but he rockets up immediately. But the suit would be shooting off. It'd be propelling this heat onto these people that are right there.
Exactly.
It's like,
they should have lost their hair.
Exactly, singed.
Yeah.
Just something, right? Even if they cut to like a kid whose hair just got singed and like smiled at him, like, "Go, way to go, Tony," or something, like that would have been.
Got this.
It would have been funny. I think it would have worked really well.
It probably would have worked a little bit better than like the people panicking just below him.
Yeah, for a second.
And then that's it. Yeah.
We get a lot of scenes of New York getting
mangled.
Yes, I mean I'm kind of jumping ahead here. Sorry, I should just say the Tesseract goes up into space, shoots the big beam into the sky. The portal gets opened. Then the Cheeto Atari. They start coming from the sky.
Cheese Taris.
They start coming from the sky, and we've now got the Avengers starting to assemble a little bit. We've got everybody kind of scattered in different segments. But we're starting to see a bit of New York getting destroyed by different things. And what keeps cutting to this one blonde woman. And it's an interesting thing because my fiance kind of pointed out too. She's like, why is it like, why did they make her so prominent? And I was like, I heard one time from a friend of mine, so I don't actually know how true this is or not, but I heard that they were trying to lead her up to be a love interest for Captain America. So she was in the next kind of Captain America movie. They were going to lead to this, but they never did. So it just because that's why they have this blonde woman that just, she's out there. And I think it might be the voice actress for Ellie. I could be wrong there, but it looked like the voice actress, can't remember her name, who plays Ellie in Last of Us.
Maybe I know that. I think I recognize her as being the daughter in What
Women Want. Yes, that's how I recognize her too.
Yeah. But I also recognize her voice because she's the voice of Gretchen in Recess.
No way.
Cartoon. I'm pretty sure she is.
Wow. One time I was watching What Women Want late at night, and suddenly I was like, "That's Ellie," and then searched it up, and I was like, "It is Ellie." Holy smokes!
Oh, then it must be. Yeah. So same person then.
Yeah. But. No, so anyways, I don't know about this being the actual actress for here in Avengers for this blonde woman, but it looked like her. I could be wrong. Anyways, so it keeps cutting this blonde woman. I just wanted to mention that just real quick, that she was apparently supposed to be a prominent figure, and that's why they show her a few times. She's in a newsreel at the end too, talking about how Cap saved her. But yeah, so lots of destruction, and we get to see a few things. So yeah, so Tony is off doing his stuff, and Thor comes in, and we've got Cap and Black Widow and Hawkeye. They come in separately. This is a weird kind of scene because like it does seem at first like Cap doesn't really know exactly what he should be doing. He's trying to like kind of help out a little bit, but I do love this moment where the cops come up and they're just kind of like, hey buddy, like get out of here kind of thing. They're very New Yorker cops, you know?
Like, why should we trust you?
Are you or are you not? No, but
a Cap.
A Cap. But then when Cap just instantly, he's just like, do this, and why should we listen to you? And then there's the thing, he fights a bunch of dudes, and then they don't even blink an eye. They just instantly start rambling.
Go right into
and I love that because it's so human in that moment. It's like, I love that they don't want to just listen to a hero. Just because you're a superhero doesn't mean that you can tell me what to do. And I love that. It's so good. And then when he proves it, they're like, okay, sweet, yep, you're the guy. And that shows Cap in like a new light, and it's just really great, and I just love that moment.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. I think for me that moment, it was just really, really funny. Like, I think it is meant to be like a pretty humor.
Oh, for sure.
Like humor kind of capturing moment, but it is very, I think that is it's good for Captain America to be in that kind of light where, you know, he's trying to do the like the humanly good thing, right? He's not just like going out into space and like fighting bad guys.
For sure.
Like he's on
the ground
level trying to evacuate people. Like he's not there because he's trying to fight off, but he's trying to defend and protect.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it does a lot of things with that one moment too. It also none of the fans can say, hey, what were the cops doing the whole time? Because now there's this one scene and you go, oh, I guess the cops are probably trying to barricade roads and try to get people evacuated out of these areas, you know? So it's like, okay, cool. So in that one line of dialogue, you've told us what the cops are doing. So while we're watching Iron Man flying around shooting the Cheeto Ataris, we've got our mind is kind of like, okay, the cops are down there helping some people, you know, like the people are trying to fight back. The people of New York are defending themselves. It's just kind of cool. I like that. It would have been actually kind of cool to see maybe a little, I don't know why a little kid, I just always think little kids, but a little kid maybe pick up one of the Chitauri weapons and like shoot one of the Chitauri. But there's again, just a small moment like that I think would also have been a little fun. So I do like how they're trying to band together and they're trying to create their little Avengers team, and Steve's trying to rifle off all these orders. Then we've got Bruce Banner, comes out of nowhere on his little motorbike. It looks a little weird when he comes in on his motorbike.
Because it's like a little it's not a motorbike, it's like a moped.
Yeah, it's this
like
tiny
like
little moped thing.
That's all he could get from wherever he landed.
I don't know if this shot is green screen or not, or like what's going on. It just looks a little weird how he's coming in from the background there into the shot. It just looks out of place for me. I don't know why, but it's such a strange scene. But regardless, Bruce Banner comes in, and we've got Tony, who's now he's got one of those flying whales that's chasing him.
Space whale.
Space whale, exactly. Cheeto Atari space whale. And so Tony's like, I'm bringing the party to you. And we got Bruce Banner with his famous line where we finally get to understand how he controls his stress. And how does he do it? What's the secret?
Well, the secret is I'm angry all the time.
I'm always angry.
Or I'm always angry.
Every time I'm watching that scene, I'm always kind of like watching the background with the whale coming. And I'm like, dude, just get the speech over with. Like, there's a whale coming. Like, he's so close to letting that whale just take out everybody.
Yeah.
But, I mean, luckily, he's great with his punch, and he hits it into the ground immediately, so it just flips up. But still, it's like, it looks like it's like the momentum of the whale. It just looks like it's going to take out the whole scene so quickly.
Yeah. So I kind of, I like these different kind of entrances, like, as they're coming together.
Yeah.
I think, Hawkeye, he was already with Cap and Black Widow, but then Thor, he comes with his lightning and just like strikes down like a whole bunch of Chitauri.
Yeah.
And then just after that is when the Hulk comes in, but he's on his little like scooter thing.
Yeah.
Which I kind of funny. I find it that it's funny because obviously like, you know, he's the guy he's bringing in like a whole bunch more power, but here he is. He's this little dinky guy. Oh. But don't worry, he's got more behind his punch.
The other guy's there, the big guy.
The other guy, yeah.
So
I really like when he does turn into the Hulk, though.
Yeah.
And just, I think it's just more about more Hulk scenes that I just like. I really enjoy.
This is Hulk. This is Prime Hulk too. We don't really see much of this.
Why.
This is really just unleashed Hulk.
We're finally getting it.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's what I've been wanting this whole time, and now we're really
exactly. It's kind of like letting the steam out of the bottle. Finally, it's just so nice to see it. But right after the Hulk does take out the space whale, we do get the great Avengers rainbow shot. The rainbow 360 no-scope shot.
The circle of color.
Da, 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 as it spins around. This was an amazing moment in the theaters, though. You're kind of like, holy smokes. Like, these are all the characters together. And it's funny looking at it now. It's like there's like 6 of them. But like back in the day, that was a big deal. But we do get Captain's great leadership immediately. Even Tony's kind of like, what's the plan, Cap? Like, he's instantly like, what are we doing? And Cap then just has a plan right away. He's just like, blah, 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 blah. I can't really remember everybody's plan. I do remember he tells Thor to shoot the lightning up at the guys. And then he also says Hulk smash. Hulk smash.
Yes.
And that's how you say Hulk smash. You don't do the Incredible Hulk movie at the end where it goes, any last words? And it goes, Hulk smash. Like, it's so dumb.
Exactly, yeah.
But no, that's how you do Hulk smash. That's also how you do Target angry. That was hilarious. But
Target angry.
Target angry. When he says Hulk smash, it's so perfect. It's like a direct order from Captain America, and he looks at him with that little like grin. He's just like, "Grr." It just like grins and then just shoots off and starts destroying stuff, and it's so great. Oh
yeah, I think maybe the one thing I do really like about the Hulk's character is that there's no hesitancy. And I think like it makes a lot of sense. Like other than that moment where they do the circle of color, that he does that big growl thing because they're all, like, you know, Hawkeye pulls his string,
Black Widow reloads her gun. Everyone has to do something.
By which okay, I don't think her guns are doing anything, but she's loading them anyway. Whatever. And yeah, so other than that moment, the Hulk is like he's just on it, like go 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 go, which I think makes sense because that's what anger is. Like anger, you don't slow down. Well, I mean, you try to slow down, but anger doesn't make you slow down. Like the anger is what's pushing you.
Yeah, so there is the scene where Hawkeye shoots his arrow at Loki. Yeah. And when it goes towards Loki, there's this great moment where he shoots it, and it's got crazy precision, and it's already impressive enough that he's pretty much going to hit Loki, and you're enticed as the viewer. And then when Loki grabs it, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, it's crazy that he grabs it, right? And then he does the smile at the camera, and then it explodes, which is just again another flip. So it's crazy how it's like a 1-2-3 punch. You're just not expecting that, and I really like that moment. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, as the audience, you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Right? Yeah. Did I get it? Did I nail it?
You did. You did a very good job. Thank you. So not long after this, we've got Loki goes into the Stark Tower.
Probably.
And we've got Thor and Loki with a little bit of drama, I should say. I don't really know.
Oh, yeah. When Thor... Wait.
Thor started asking Loki why he's doing this. It's very small dialogue, but there's that happening. And then the Hulk comes to then save the day. And he fights Loki, and Loki. What does Loki say? What is the line again? It's a good line.
Here, I'll back it up.
I'll find it for you. Back it up. Beep beep beep.
I will find it. Nothing goes over my head. I will catch it.
It's something like, "How dare you fight? I'm a god."
Oh, you are all of you beneath me. I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by.
I will not be bullied by the.
Yeah,
the way he gets slammed. It's so good. It just smashed into everything. It's so jarring when you first see it, but it's also just hilarious.
Oh, it's great.
We just never seen that happen, and it obviously wouldn't make sense for a regular human being. But watching Loki get hit that way is just it's a good time.
Yeah, it's nice that they have the freedom to kind of do that. Like it makes sense to in a way to do that.
And it's not super gory either. It's very comical, but it's good.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's no blood. I guess so I don't know if it's like the Asgardian armor or just Loki being not of like human origin or something. I guess like they are able to do that without too much like a kind of visceral aspect to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but it's fun. I like it.
Yeah, I think everybody in the audience liked it. When I remember thinking back to the theaters, like I think everybody or like. It drew a lot of laughs. Like, it was a really enjoyable moment.
Yeah, I do remember the theater laughing to that.
Yeah.
So we also have this weird subplot with the governor people, whatever, board of directors people getting all mad at Nick Fury for doing all this and having the Avengers team. Again, these are kind of like the shadow government that we don't know very well.
They're like Big Brother.
Yeah, they kind of just exist. And we get a little bit more context in Winter Soldier, but still not much. So from what I can tell, I guess they're Hydra. I guess.
Well, I don't know if all of them are, but the main guy that's talking, I forgot his name. He passed away last year or the year before, but he's a Hydra agent, which we see in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it's technically the workings of Hydra. So, and these people, again, whatever the shadow government is above Nick Fury, they are getting mad about this. So they're gonna send a nuke to New York City. It's a weird call. I mean, I get it. There's an alien race that's coming onto Earth, and we don't really know what to do. But it's a very strange call to just say, let's nuke it. But okay, whatever. So they send a nuke to New York City, and this one really, like, milquetoast fighter jet pilot is for some reason just like, all right, sending the nuke. Like package delivered.
Packages.
I'm like, you just sent a nuke to New York City, and his face is just sort of like, yep, mission accomplished. Like,
I know. Yeah.
What a weirdo. Okay.
Totally.
It's like, all right. But anyway, so Tony's plan of attack, obviously harkening back to Captain America's line, you're not the one to take the fall.
To make the sacrifice play.
To make the sacrifice play, yeah.
Yeah.
So Tony grabs the rocket to make the sacrificial play.
He grabs the Rod of Destiny.
The Rod of Destiny. Yeah. There is a really good moment with what's his name again? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on everybody's names right now. Tony's suit, Jarvis.
Oh, Jarvis.
Yeah, saying like, "Shall I make the call to Pepper Potts?" It's good because
might as well.
it's so quick, right? It's just like, oh, and then it's so jarring to see that she's not near her cell phone. So
I know.
It's like, oh, what a sad moment.
Sucked. Like,
it pulls on your heartstrings.
We have all these moments of like great dialogue between the two of them and such nice chemistry. In
the moment when you need it.
The moment you exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't get it.
It's not there.
But
it's good.
It's good writing.
Yeah, it's very good writing. And he takes the rocket up, takes it out through the portal, and then there he is. I love how everything goes dark for him. He can't really see anything, but he can just see out his helmet, right?
Yeah.
And he just sees the nuke go and just hit the enemy ship. I also would love to think about who are the aliens on that ship. They're just probably so shocked. They're like, what the hell just hit us? Like, it just out of nowhere. But I just love how, even if he did die in this moment, the last thing he would have saw was that ship just getting totally decimated by that nuke. It's such a great end there.
By him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also got Black Widow doing the hardest task of all, of putting the rod into the thing. Like, she's like about to shut the portal. Don't shut it yet, you know. And then
not yet.
Yeah. Then again, for some reason, we get Captain America being like, "Shut it." Like, I get that it makes sense, and it does actually make sense for his character to say shut the portal, even though Tony's dropping. He's trying to save Earth, so I do understand that. But it's like, in the moment, you're feeling so much for Tony, and for Captain America to be the one to be like, shut it. You're just kind of like, geez, he just seems like such a bad guy in that moment. You're like, don't shut it. Like, keep it open for at least a second more.
Yeah. And I guess, like, shouldn't we have been able to see, or shouldn't they have been able to see from that point of view, looking up into the portal, like, as it's closing, you can kind of see that, like, the nuke is going off and nothing else is coming through the portal. So, like, it should be pretty safe to leave it open for a little bit longer, shouldn't it?
I'll tell you who should have seen him falling through that. Should have been Hawkeye. I feel like if any of them can see really well, it's Hawkeye. I mean, I don't know if he actually has superpowers to see, like, further, but I mean, if anybody should have, it should have been him with the keen eye to be like, oh, I think I still see him, you know, or something, you know?
Right.
But
I don't think he has any superpowers, but I agree with you, yeah. If anybody to utilize their skills, he was also higher up, way, so then, yeah.
But yeah, it would have been interesting for him to have, like, that line. Maybe he's like, oh, there he is, like, to notice him first or something. But
look,
it is
up in the sky. It's a bird.
I do really like how he's falling, and it's almost this helpless moment where all these superheroes are like, wait, what do we do? Like,
yeah, like what?
Like, I don't actually know what Thor is doing in that moment, but like, I feel like Thor could have caught him.
Well, no, okay. So actually, I did like Thor didn't hesitate either. Like, as soon as they realized that he...
Oh, you're right. He's grabbing his hammer, isn't he?
He started spinning his hammer because he needs to use it to propel him up, right? Because he can't fly. So
with
he was
the
about
weird
to...
physics of Thor.
Exactly, yeah. It's an odd thing. And then, so instead of that, it's actually the Hulk to save the day.
That is it's an endearing moment, and I really like that.
Yes, I totally love it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Hulk in just about like every scene, and even after he catches him, he lands on the ground, like on his back too, right? Because he's not like in full control. He's making sure he's like saving this person. He doesn't crush him. Gets him off of it, like he chucks him off of his body. Yeah, and then he's not waking up. And then
Hulk's the impatient one. Just yells and wakes him up. Again, great. Like, I don't know who wrote that or came up with that, but like 3 things that make Hulk so endearing in that moment. But you're just like, oh, great character.
Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just watching it now. What the hell? Yeah.
Did we win?
Hey, let's go for the good guys.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, I love how he's so interested in the shawarma, and they're like, well, hold on, we got to get Loki first. And he's like, all right, shawarma afterwards.
Yeah. Work first, party after.
Yeah. I don't really like this shot where Loki kind of is like coming to, and like the Avengers are there,
and they're just
at him
standing
in one
over
frame.
Him. They're in their Power Rangers stance. Yeah, it is
and like Hulk looks really awkward in the background because like they couldn't fit him in the shot, so I think they make him skinny.
Yeah, it looks really skinny.
They make him skinnier so he can fit in the shot, I think, and it's really awkward looking. So I don't like that shot.
Very awkward. Yeah.
Hawkeye's got like the bow stretched out.
But doesn't he like as they pan towards him, doesn't he like slowly kind of like aim or something?
It's very awkward. Like it's like a trying to make that team shot, but I was like, you did it enough. You don't need to do it again. Like that could have easily just been one character like picking Loki up off the floor or something while he's in handcuffs or something. It could have been Thor actually. I think would have been better. Yeah.
Like they already had their poster shot with the circle of color.
The rainbow color of death.
Yeah, exactly.
But so Loki gets taken away, and then we get our montage of like the destruction of New York. And again, it's quite a devastating thing that happens to New York. It becomes a big scar for a lot of the Marvel saga.
Yeah.
As it goes on, this moment gets talked about in, like I said, the TV shows. It's the catalyst to a lot of different plot points and stuff. We'll see it in Spider-Man later on. It just comes up a lot, and it's a big moment, and it hits New Yorkers hard. So this montage is pretty interesting to see how everybody takes it. And again, it does cut to that blonde woman for a bit, and she's talking about Captain America and whatnot. So it's interesting. We get our Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah. What does he say? Superheroes, give me a break.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Playing chess. Reminds me of the Pixar short of the old man playing chess with himself.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I like what I like about this little scene showing the news montage is it's again you're bringing to light things that the audience is thinking
for sure
already, and you're not completely addressing it, but you're saying like, we are aware of these kind of like plot holes, or not, they're not even like plot holes, but like flaws in just like the idea of the story, like in what is taking place. These are the flaws, we know that they exist, and it's almost like they're saying like we're putting it here because you don't need to think about it, because that's not what this movie's about,
right?
And like maybe they'll answer it later on, but like,
this is not the movie to answer your questions on these
exactly
characters.
So like focus on, it's more just like, focus on like what the story is actually telling you, and like what they're trying to do. And later on we do find out that they, like, the biggest thing was that the Avengers kind of do have to be accountable for all the damage that they cause,
for sure,
which is not something that I recall getting in a lot of other previous kind of like hero movies.
It's a good question too. It's a very realistic question that I like that they bring up quite a bit.
That's true.
Is this a good thing, or is this worse? So it's interesting, and that does kind of talk a little bit about it. And then Nick Fury's just kind of like, nah, screw that, like, these people are allowed to go wherever they go, and they will come back whenever they need to come back, because
we'll need them to.
I was like, that's great logic, Nick Fury.
I forgot, what did I mention?
Flawless.
This I loved his response earlier about like how he didn't want to abide by their call to like send the nuke, and so he's like, he goes out and destroys, like, he takes out like a rocket
bazooka
launcher
and shoots an innocent person's plane. Nick Fury just murdered some jet fighter.
But it's like so very like his character that
I know, like, he's just so angry.
I don't think that's a typical Nick Fury kind of characteristic, but I like that's Samuel Jackson's kind of like moment, characteristic of that. And then
my fiance's like, because I was like, did he just murder someone? I was like, because he shot the wrong plane. My fiance's like, oh, it must have been a decoy. I was like, so they set up a decoy? I was like, and then that guy died? I was like, he just murdered someone.
I think they probably would have sent two. Like, one is like the wingman kind of thing. But I don't think he shot it so that the wheel, like, it didn't blow up completely. It just kind of like, it just went down.
He did shoot a bazooka at someone though. That is a fact.
That's true. And then but I like his response to one of the board members, but seeing as that it was a stupid ass decision, like, it's just like, wow, that's also very Samuel L. Jackson, but I love it.
It's really well done. So we get our like hero shots of everyone driving away. Cap's got his awesome motorbike that he's driving away on. I like that. We got Tony and Bruce Banner getting to like
exactly. They're getting all cozy.
I like that. It's the relationship you didn't think you wanted to see, and then when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, these guys make sense. You know?
Let's put these two brains together. Yeah.
And it's just nice. And then you get Thor and Loki and the Tesseract. I really like that shot where Loki's got his handcuffs are literally like a locked jaw, so he can't talk. Isn't that so funny and like poetic for Loki? It's so perfect. But he's like locked up and stuck, and then he's holding one thing, and like Thor's holding the other handle to the thing, and like he's just like, I don't know. It's really, I like that shot. Although they look really out of place, it kind of looks a little
very out of place. Like, why did they have to go to that specific location?
It's so bright, and their costumes are so contrasting with the brightness, and it looks like Galaxy Quest. It looks a lot like Galaxy Quest to me because it's so bright, like it is in that movie, and everything kind of looks fake and cheesy, and you're like, ooh, again, kind of TV movie-esque.
When there's more light, you can see the imperfections. Like, I kept noticing this Captain America when he's in his like the actual Captain America outfit, the star that's on the middle of his chest. You can see where, I guess, like, within the outline of it, there, or at each point of the star, there's these little, it looks like it's kind of like bolted into the suit, but beyond the bolts where it actually goes to the like the tips of the star points, they're kind of like bending outwards.
Yeah.
As if
I
like,
saw
okay,
that,
so this
yeah.
is it's some sort of like really weird plastic or like
Yeah.
rubber that's just not
It's
sitting
part of the
well.
costume design, unfortunately. I think the
Yeah.
wardrobe people, they were just probably trying to fix it in between each shot and take, and they just miss one or on a different day or something, you know?
Yeah.
It just is what it is, but yeah. It does show itself a little bit in these brightly lit scenes at the end, but it's okay. It is what it is. It's still a fun movie. Then we get to... Is that the end? I think it's the end of the movie. Right?
Pretty
Or
much,
what
yeah. So
happens?
after that, they're kind of going off on their own ways. Fury talks to Agent Hill, says like they'll come back because we'll need them to.
So where are they going now? Yeah, it's... I don't really like Maria Hill in this movie. I really like that actress. Colby Smulders, I think she's great. I really like How I Met Your Mother. I think she's great as Robin in that show.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I just see Robin in this, so she seems so weird to me as just like this agent character. But that being said, she grows on me after a while. Like she gets better as the whole thing goes on. She's not even necessarily bad in this. It's just jarring for me to see her in this kind of a role. And when she says that line, like, where are they going? Like when she says that line, it just seems so like. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but just I don't believe it. It was like it's script. It's just like the show trying to force.
It's like
plot again.
complacent. That's what I'm thinking. It sounds very complacent.
So where are they going?
Yeah.
They'll come back because they need to. Okay, all right. Like this is all just like narration dialogue. Like none of it is actually like a conversation. It's just like very narration style. It's very Morgan Freeman-esque.
And then so then we get into the credits, and I like this. It's kind of cool that they show these little really close-ups of these CGI shots of like each of the characters, kind of like what would we call them, insignias kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Like we get Black Widow's little emblem, we get the shield, Captain America's shield, a little bit of Hawkeye's arrow, probably. Oh, I think we get a close-up of like Tony's arc reactor, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So little things here and there. I don't think we get like the Hulk's skin or anything like that. What would he show?
Probably his gamma
Purple
radiation.
shorts?
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I can't remember, but I think it was kind of cool.
And then the after credit scene we get.
So we get two.
Oh yes, we do get two.
I think this is the first movie we get two, I believe.
I'm
one is,
only remembering one of them, so you go ahead.
Well, one is kind of like I'd almost call it like a pre-credit scene, but it does. I think it starts right after the credits actually. So it's after the Avengers items montage.
Yep.
And then we get a little conversation between the Other and Thanos.
Oh, right. Now I remember. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. So it's more like a mid-credit scene, I guess.
Yeah.
So then we hear him talk about, or the Other is telling Thanos like, oh, they cannot be ruled, blah blah blah, must destroy them all. And then Thanos does this kind of like portrait turn, and you see
then a smile.
And a little bit of a grin. It's kind of awkward.
It is awkward. This is before I think they actually had any kind of
I don't think
motion tracking or whatever. You know, like there was no actor signed on for this.
Exactly.
Yet. So I don't think there was motion tracking. I think it's just a CGI creature that they're making at this moment.
Yeah.
But so that's why I think the smile seems awkward, because it's probably hand animated with the key points and all that, instead of it actually being somebody smiling or something like that. I could be wrong, but that's my guess.
Yeah, and probably they didn't want to show too much of him in case like things did change. Like that's why they showed like the side face. And it's also fairly dark. Like you don't see a lot of details.
Yeah.
But his teeth are really shiny. And then
he brushed as well. With Listerine.
It's that space dust toothbrush paste.
Ah, yes.
And then we get the post-credit scene.
I remember this scene now. Now I didn't actually watch it this time around, so I'm not too familiar with it, but I do remember it in the theaters, and it was very funny in the theaters.
Yeah, it's they make shawarmas sound really good the way they bite and chew and swallow. It's
true. Now there's no dialogue, right? It's just them chewing, right?
No dialogue whatsoever. I'm just looking closely again, but there's this point where I feel like Thor is kind of trying to hold back he's totally trying to hold back a smile. I feel like maybe because they probably just had this shot like on them for a long time, and they're okay, we're just gonna do 15 minutes of all you just eating, so just look tired and keep eating.
keep in mind that a lot of these actors are on crazy strict diets as well.
Oh, that's
so
true.
In this scene, eating a shawarma is not going to be on their diet. So it is also, they're probably loving this moment because they get to actually eat all these carbs.
Savor it.
So
team. Savor it.
So I feel like Chris Hemsworth especially, he had to bulk up like crazy, right? So I feel like he's probably sitting there like, yeah, get my shawarma on.
yeah. Yeah. I would have loved that. It sounded so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that's the movie.
And that's the movie. Okay, now I don't mean to rush us, but we have taken a long time to talk about the Avengers. A lot of that is my fault. There's been a lot of technical difficulties on my side during this episode.
Oh, good. I feel like I rambled on a lot, but I think it's because
fine.
I just really enjoyed the movie.
Me too. All in all, it's a very fun movie. And I think it's just a way to say it. Like, it's not the best movie in the Marvel Universe, but it is a very fun one. Mm-hmm. My fiance and I both said that we both enjoyed Iron Man. I think it was the best one so far. And then Captain America second. And then this is my third favorite from what we've seen.
Okay. Yeah. Geez, I haven't even thought about. I do have a list. Wait, let me find it. It's hard for me to remember all the time, but
for phase 1.
I think I keep this in Google Keep somewhere. Oh, I thought I did.
Let's see, I'll round out mine while you're looking. So that's my first 3, and then it goes Iron Man 2, and then it goes Thor. No, that's not true. I'm sorry. It goes Iron Man 1, then Captain America, then Avengers, then Thor, then Iron Man 2, and then The Incredible Hulk. That's my list so far. So for phase 1, that's my order.
Okay.
And I'll probably segment these from phases.
So I started putting together a list, but it's for like all of the MCU.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I didn't. Oh, I have. I put Avengers before Captain America, the first Avenger.
Okay.
I probably liked those more than Incredible Hulk and Thor and Iron Man 2. I'm not sure where Iron Man would go, but it would be for sure within like the top 3 of phase 1.
It's just so good.
Yeah. It was a really good start.
Yep.
Like it's a very solid start to.
You're so spoiled with it too, because then you get hit with Incredible Hulk so quickly,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But because like we find that Tony Stark, he, the way I see it is that he kind of takes the reins in terms of like a lot of the direction of where the Avengers goes, and so kind of that means like where he goes, the movies kind of will follow in a way based on like what's going on with him.
Right.
But yeah, with this one, I find that the Avengers, at least in terms of like a group meeting, it's a really good start to that aspect of seeing the superheroes together. Yeah, very strong start.
All right. Well, normally we go into some other stuff on this, but I'm going to have to cut it short on this episode. So we're going to end that. That is the end of phase 1 for us with the MCU. I can't believe we've already gone through that, but we're done phase 1. And we're going to be moving into phase 2 probably in the next couple weeks here. We're going to start up with Iron Man 3. So I can't believe it, but we're moving on to Iron Man 3 next, which it just feels like
quick.
Yeah, it's weird. Like the Iron Man series just ends so quickly.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's in like every movie anyways, so it doesn't really matter. But anyways, so I hope you guys enjoyed that one, and be sure to keep watching us to see phase 2 when it comes in, and let us know what you think. You can always send us an email at scumbarpodcast@gmail.com, or you could give us a comment or a like or subscribe on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. Check out our regular podcast, the Scumbar Podcast, where we just kind of talk about whatever, even more so than we do on these ones.
We talk about whatever and everything in between whatever.
That's so true. That's almost like a tagline or something.
Yeah.
Anth0z, where can the audience find you if they wanted to hear about you?
Well, if you want to find me because you want to hear about me, you can find me on Twitter at Anth0z1. That's at ANTH0Z1.
And if you want to see this in video format for the podcast, you can also go to Mattbrush Gaming on there, and you'll find this podcast as well as the other ones in the MCU that we've done for the Marvel movie Madness. Mm-hmm. And also the Scumbar Podcast is on there too. So let us know what you think, and thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you. I have post credits for us now because I didn't mention my alternate act names.
Oh yes, of course.
So these are the names that you can now take because you didn't have act names.
Thank you.
So Act 1 was Take Chances, Act 2 was Make Mistakes, and Act 3 was Get Messy.
Get Messy.
Yes. And I think it totally works, to be honest. Like, because Act 1 was all about, like, it's Fury. He's taking a chance on getting this team together. It doesn't really work.
Get messy.
So well, Act 2 is the make mistakes.
Right,
So
you better
like
say, yeah,
he's
make mistakes,
finally he finally needs them to go to work because like the Loki's Hawkeye's team like invades, right? And so they pretty much lose out. They lose Coulson. They all get separated. They make a whole bunch of mistakes. And then 3 get messy. Like they're in the middle of New York. They're not the best team in terms of like keeping things clean. They're a little bit rough. But they kind of figured out. They just have to really just get deep down into it and then get into the fight, and then they'll figure it out. So, yeah, that's my reasoning. I'm pretty sure Joss Whedon watched The Magic School Bus just before he started.
I think he
directing
did
this movie. Yeah,
I think he probably
Makes
had it in
sense.
the script too.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. All
Well,
right.
thank you guys so much for watching.
All right. Beep 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 beep. Bye.
Magic
Bye.
School Bus.
Magic School Bus.
Baked into a pie.